Trump says it was his warning and his threat that really proved the tipping point and led to the beginning. But of course, let's not forget, this is only a very small beginning. We're talking about 3 hostages released, and there's very many more. And beyond the question of release of hostages or trading hostages for prisoners is the question of Gaza itself and Hamas itself. But that solution is still awaited. There's a very tense situation there. Hamas exists. It has not been dismantled. It's very much in charge in Gaza Strip. So Hamas has not been eliminated, as Israel said it will be. The Palestinian solution is evasive. The 2-state solution that the US government has said it supports, that just about everyone says they support, but nobody acts on. That solution is awaited. So that problem has been sort of only touched at the periphery. It's not been resolved. There's a very serious crisis now in the Middle East that is continuing, and there's no sign that this early move is necessarily going to find a solution that will bring any sort of lasting peace or even a longish ceasefire.
Right, Sanjay. Let's dip into CNN for a minute. We'll keep coming back to you.
Some way, as well as outside agitators, which, again, is just not the case.
It's not the case, and it's likely a good thing that his Attorney General nominee, Pam Bondi, has already had her confirmation hearing, because this certainly would come up in that. And this is something that the Justice Department will have to deal with it. But look, this is we got an incredible look at his first look at the Oval Office once again. He said he was so happy to be back. It's one of the most beautiful places. And then in an also extraordinary moment, in a series of them, he opened the drawer of the Resolute desk and pulled out the note from President Biden and sort of joked, should I read this aloud? It said 47 on it. Of course, he is the 47th president. But Anderson, just a litany of executive orders, executive actions. But on immigration, those also are very serious. He again has been talking about that all day long and throughout the campaign, largely picking up where he left off and declaring a national emergency, declaring the cartels a terrorist organization, leaving the door open to special forces going into Mexico. So on a variety of fronts, making good on what he's been talking about he would do on day one. And now, of course, the levers of government will have to react to all of this. But clearly, he's very happy to be back in the Oval Office, and so much different than 8 years ago when he walked in for the first time. Now he knows exactly what he wants to do.
Yeah, Jeff Zeleny, appreciate it. For more on how those January 6 pardons could play out, I want to go to CNN's chief legal affairs correspondent, Paula Reed, and I think we're going to show you a live picture at some point outside the detention center, where, if you've been watching our reporting over the months, as Donny O'Sullivan has repeatedly reported, there have been vigils pretty much every night by relatives and friends of people who were convicted of crimes on January 6th at the Capitol and have been serving time. They have been gathering every night. And obviously there's a celebratory mood, as you can see. Paula, how immediate is the effect of these pardons? Will people be released tonight? Will Enrique Tarrio be released? Stuart Rhodes?
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, they're in the process of being released, so that is possible because the pardons and the commutations, their impact is immediate. Now, if you didn't get a pardon or a commutation, if your case is still pending, those cases are going to be dismissed. Now, I'd expect that would likely happen tomorrow because today is, of course, a federal holiday. Yesterday, I was speaking with one of Trump's legal advisors, and I asked, well, why are you dismissing the cases? Why not just give them pardons too? And the advisor suggested, well, that giving them a pardon suggests that they are somehow guilty. So we would prefer to dismiss these cases. But it's interesting, I will note that those commutations, the folks whose sentence were reduced or eliminated instead of getting a full pardon, those are just going to be reviewed. So some of those people still could get pardons. And in speaking with Trump advisors over the past few months about how they were going to make good on this promise to pardon people who were involved in January 6th, but in the words of President Trump, not give relief to those who were, quote, out of control. What kind of process are you going to implement? They told me they didn't want to do the usual case-by-case assessment because it would take too much time. This is something they wanted to do on day one. So here we're sort of seeing a process, small p. They're going to review these commutations, so there could be more January 6 pardons to come.
So just in terms of the 14 commutations, I mean, a commutation can mean a lot of different things. Just it could be, a reduction of a multi-year sentence to serve just another year or whatever, or it could be a complete, time served and you're out. Do we know for all 14?
Well, it's suggestive right now that this is as broad as possible. So I would expect that the people on the commutation list, based on what President Trump said, and he did get a few things wrong. It's been a long day for him. But based on what he said and what we're reading, you'd expect that their sentences will be eliminated. So they would be released from jail, but they would still have that conviction on their record. But those are being reviewed, and we're talking about people like Stuart Rhodes. He's one of the people who received a commutation, leader of the Oath Keepers. He was sentenced to 18 years in prison and was found guilty of seditious conspiracy by a jury. But as interesting as the commutations are, the people who received pardons are also quite surprising. You already mentioned Mr. Tarrio, but the group of people who already received pardons, remember Trump and Vice President Vance had suggested that they were not going to give clemency to people who were violent offenders, but the group that got pardons includes individuals like Julian Cater, who assaulted a U.S. police officer, Brian Sicknick, and later pled guilty to assaulting an officer with a dangerous weapon, Devlin Thompson, who hit a police officer with a metal baton, and Robert Palmer. He's the Florida man who attacked police with a fire extinguisher, a wooden plank, and a pole. So as Justice Helene was saying earlier, it's probably a pretty good thing that his Attorney General nominee has already had her confirmation hearing, but his FBI pick, Kash Patel, and even his Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, will likely face questions about these pardons.
All right, Paul Reed, thank you. I'm joined by our senior reporter, Daniel Dale, to fact-check some of what we just heard from President Trump, and there was certainly a lot. Daniel, what stands out to you?
There were a lot of big lies there, Anderson. He said again that the U.S. is the only country with birthright citizenship. That's not close to true. At least a couple dozen countries have it, including U.S. neighbors, Canada and Mexico. He said again that the U.S. took hundreds of billions of dollars in from China thanks to the tariffs he imposed in his first term. That revenue came from U.S. citizens. U.S. importers pay those tariffs and often pass on the cost to U.S. consumers. He spoke again about how NATO, European members of NATO have contributed $200 billion less to Ukraine than the U.S. have. In fact, data shows that the European members have provided tens of billions more aid than the U.S. has. So he has that reversed again. He repeated his assertion that China controls the Panama Canal. China does have influence in the area, and China-linked companies control or operate 2 ports on the canal. But that canal is operated by the Panamanian Canal Authority, staffed by Panamanian board members, Panamanian employees. So an exaggeration at least. He repeated that Iran had no money for Hamas and Hezbollah when he was president. In fact, his own administration acknowledged in 2020 that Iran continued to fund those terror groups. He said the Democrats cheated like dogs, and I think he was referring to the 2020 election. Regardless, not true, no basis for it. Repeated something he said earlier today, said the January 6th committee deleted all of the evidence, all of the records. Just did not happen, although there is a dispute about the preservation of some of the data the committee collected. Repeated his false claim that former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi supposedly rejected his offer of 10,000 National Guard troops on January 6th. There is no evidence he even made such an offer to her, and he, not the House Speaker, had the power to deploy or not deploy the D.C. National Guard. He said she admitted she rejected such an offer, certainly has not. And he said at one point, you're talking about trade, he said the European Union doesn't take our farm products. According to the U.S. government.
Sanjay, we understand that the India-US relationships at this point are at crucial crossroads. What do you think are the challenges that India is going to face with Trump's inauguration?
Look, there's good cause for hope there. Trump, through the course of the day, has taken a dig at many countries. China, Canada, Russia, Spain even, to an extent also Ukraine, European Union. So he has been a little critical and of very many countries, but he hasn't said a critical word about India at all in this tirade of his really against so many other countries. The only possibly critical reference to India could have been to the extent that India is a part of BRICS. He had some sharp words to say about BRICS. If they were to challenge the dollar, certainly India will not go along with any BRICS challenge to the dollar. So that really is a theoretical problem. And the fact is that although we are talking about what didn't happen, he hasn't had a sharp word for India. On the contrary, he has had a good relationship with the Indian Prime Minister. There's no reason to believe that will not continue. Marco Rubio has been sworn in as the Secretary of State, in effect the Foreign Minister of the US, who is very supportive of India. And there are a lot of people of Indian origin within the Trump team in higher positions. So there's good reason for India to be very hopeful of good ties with the US now under Trump.
Sanjay, we are also learning that the Quad group could also meet. This could mark the first meeting of the Quad group with the US, Japan, India and Australia. What do you have to say about that?
Yes, that is something that this government is certainly keen to take forward from the Biden era, and there's not a lot. We've seen some very sharp remarks that Trump has made through the course of the day about Biden himself and about the government under Biden and how it has brought the country to its knees. Whatever the facts of that may be, the fact is that he's been very critical of the government gone. But certainly he is very firm about building a good future with countries and partners. And though he didn't name India as a potential partner, all the signs point to good ties with India coming up with the US.
Right, Sanjay. We'll keep coming back to you. We're just slipping into a very short break. We'll be right back, viewers. Stay tuned. Donald Trump, the US president who is sworn in as the 47th president of the United States for the second time, he is now signing the executive orders in the Oval Office after taking oath. These are the live visuals coming in from the Oval Office, United States, viewers. Trump started his inaugural address with saying that this is the golden age for United States. Golden age of America begins now. That's what he had to say. And these are the live visuals coming in. You can see on your screens where he's showing off the executive orders that he has just signed in the Oval Office. And he has also granted pardons for the January 6th defendants. Remember, Capitol riots took place on January 6th. And that was a dark era in the history of US. He announced a slew of measures that he will be taking with respect to immigration, and he has also said that he will impose a national emergency at the US-Mexico border and will send troops and more manpower along the border. That's what he had to say earlier. And he has also thanked his supporters after taking oath as the 47th president of the United States. He is the only second president to be able to return to power in the United States.
Well, we're going to see on Venezuela. We're looking at Venezuela very strongly. It's a country I know very well for a lot of reasons, and it's, boy, it was a great country 20 years ago, and now it's a mess, right?
Sir, can we expect ICE raids starting tomorrow in major cities?
What does that mean?
Can we expect ICE raids in major cities tomorrow?
I don't want to say when, but it's going to happen. Has to happen, or we're not going to have a country left.
This is actually an executive order designating the cartels and other organizations to be foreign terrorist organizations.
That's a big one.
Yes, sir.
People have wanted to do this for years. So they are now designated as terrorist organizations, foreign. And Mexico probably doesn't want that. But we have to do what's right. They're killing our people.
So maybe they should get some consideration for that. Many of them have said that they went there because he told them to do that. But I'll tell you, what are the consequences of this? If people are told that you can engage in rioting, insurrections, attack police officers, and so on, and the President of the United States will call you hostages and free you, it's a hell of a way to start the next 4 years.
Yeah, look, I was prepared for shock and awe. This is just shock and awful, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, if David is 100% right, this could be interpreted by some people as a green light for right-wing political violence. That's not his intention, but it can be interpreted that way. Because why do you put people in jail? 3 reasons. You want to incapacitate dangerous people, you want to punish people for doing bad stuff, and you want to deter people from doing the same thing again. It looks like the federal government is no longer in the deterrence business when it comes to right-wing political violence. That is scary to me, and I am a criminal justice fanatic. I love people coming out of prison. But usually, when somebody comes out of prison, it's not right after they beat up a cop. Maybe they did something else, and there's some idea that they've confessed, they've apologized, they've rehabilitated themselves, they've done some action, and then we say, now you get a second chance. This is a very dangerous thing that happened tonight, among many others. This is not shock and awe, it's shock and awful.
I want to go to CNN's Caitlin Collins, who is standing by. Caitlin, it's been an extraordinary day so far.
Hi, Anderson. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Let me hear you.
So I'm here at the ball. I just rushed over from the White House down the street. No easy feat in this traffic for the inauguration. Obviously, there are a lot of supporters of the president that are gathered here. And I just want to note, as we're watching all of this play out, we just saw Trump giving that lengthy press conference inside the Oval Office for about 45 minutes. He made a lot of news there and a lot of headlines. And I want to get reaction tonight from New Jersey Democratic Senator Cory Booker, who, if you were watching Trump's inaugural address today, was sitting there actually in the front row. And Senator Booker, I was keeping an eye on your reaction in some of the lines to Trump's speech. Can you just first give me your reaction to what he had to say today?
You know, again, it's a moment of where we have the peaceful transfer of power, and I thought there was a lot of dignity and respect on that stage, seeing former presidents, the Supreme Court. It should be normally a joyous moment. I could not help but be under that great dome and not think about 4 years earlier where there were these horrific violent acts taking place, and that he was not there for Joe Biden's inauguration. And so, again, I'm looking forward to getting to work, given what we have. But his first actions as president haven't done what he promised voters he would do. Hasn't lowered the prices of groceries, hasn't made housing more accessible, hasn't created more jobs, hasn't made people's lives easier when it comes to the financial burdens he said he would address. What I have seen, though, is pardons, pardoning people who beat police officers. To pardon the person that beat Brian Sicknick from New Jersey, a Capitol police officer who would later die, succumb to his injuries, is to me a horrific act. There were people running for their lives on that day. There were people threatening to kill our vice president who had to be taken out for his own safety and security. So his beginning in terms of his promises that he made, in terms of remembering what happened in this hollow Capitol, a sacred civic space, it's cast a big shadow over today's operations. And look, we have work to do because Americans are hurting, and a lot of people put their trust in him that he would do something about it. Well, right now, he unfortunately has pardoned police killers. 5 police officers died that day, and I'm just deeply disappointed and angry that that's how he's decided to begin.
Are you surprised by how broad the scope of these pardons are? Because Trump, some advisors have been urging him to take this on a case-by-case basis. But when you look at the actual text of this executive order, it's about 14 people whose sentences he commuted, but he made clear pardons are still on the table potentially for them under further review. And then every other person who was convicted for offenses related to that day got a pardon, and everyone who has a pending indictment or a case making its way through the courts, he's urging his attorney general to dismiss, or directing his attorney general to dismiss them. I mean, that includes Enrique Tarrio, who was the former leader of the Proud Boys. He was convicted of seditious conspiracy. What does it say that was wiped clean tonight?
You know, I've gotten to know a lot of the Capitol police officers here, and not only were they mourning for a long time the deaths of many of their colleagues who died in injuries related to that day, But there were many of them that were severely injured, had eyes gouged and hurt, had bruises and other injuries that kept them out of work for many, many months. And it just flaunts their service and their dedication that right now, people who are in effect beaters and ultimately, with the result of the deaths, people that were out to kill police officers. This is a stunning dereliction of duty as well as an undermining of our justice system, because these folks were not put in jail by Joe Biden. These folks had due process. They were tried in front of a jury of their peers in open court, and they were convicted, as you said, many of them for years, for their violent actions against police officers, for their threatening, seditious threatening to overthrow the government of the United States of America. And again, I heard.
Senator,
go ahead.
Can I ask you, because on that point, I want to get you to respond to this, because what I'm already hearing from people who work for Trump and are his allies is that there's really no leg for, the Democrats don't have a leg to stand on, because President Biden leaving today, issued a raft of pardons, including for his own family members and his sister and his brothers and their spouses, and then also for an activist, an elderly activist who is convicted of killing 2 FBI agents. Chris Wray did not even want him to commute that sentence that President Biden did today. They say that that doesn't give Democrats an argument here to criticize these pardons. What is your response to that?
I mean, I think that's the mistake we're seeing now, is people trying to reduce this to tribalism. This is not about Democrat or Republican. Joe Biden pardoned a lot of people. Yeah, he should answer for that and explain what he did and his reasoning. But the people he pardoned, his family members, did not, before the naked public eye, beat police officers, try to overthrow our government, lead to the death of police officers, and have injuries, scars, both visible and invisible, on police officers that are still affecting their lives today. This is not about left or right in our country. We can't just say this is a tit for tat, or their side did it so my side can do it. No, this is about the values and principles that we should all be looking to uphold, the institutions of our government themselves, that these people on that day tried to overthrow. Let's stop with the rank partisanship. The President of the United States of America has just pardoned people who physically attacked, violently led to the death of officers like Sicknick, and we should be talking about that.
Senator Cory Booker, thank you for your time tonight. Anderson, back to you.
Caitlin, with me now is Massachusetts Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren. Let me ask you about what you think of these pardons and commutations of the January 6th.
Well, it attacks the very foundation of our democracy, because it tries to whitewash what was clearly an insurrection. People died from that. Property was destroyed. People were injured. Police officers trying to defend the democratic process died. And the idea that now Donald Trump and his Republican friends are just coming in and trying to whitewash the whole thing and pretend not only did it never happen, it was nothing but a picnic. And that's just not going to work.
He seems to have a lot of new friends, too, who appeared today. I'm wondering what you made of what you think the message President Trump was trying to send by having, Tim Cook, Jeff Bezos, obviously Elon Musk, all the others, Zuckerberg, front and center in the rotunda, right next to, across the aisle from former presidents, and what message it actually sends to you.
So I think there was a double message. I think one message is pay to play. You want to be Donald Trump's friend? Write a check, buy some Bitcoin, whatever. But I think the second message is really who this government is going to work for. Front and center right there. It's going to work for the billionaires. Oh, yeah, Donald Trump made a lot of promises while he was running, and he said he was really going to help out American families. And American families have a lot to complain about, on how expensive life has become, on how challenging it has become. But he gave that whole speech today. And boy, he wanted to talk about renaming the Gulf of Mexico. He wanted to talk about taking back the Panama Canal. But where was the discussion of housing prices? Where did he really talk about what he wants to do on healthcare? Where was even something about the junk fees that people have to live with and the way they're fleeced by giant financial companies? None of that. So flood the zone with everything else, but the very heart of what the American voter told us they wanted, and that is someone who would fight for them and fight for their economic security, just wasn't there.
When he first came.
My dad has won a medal.
Donald Trump, the US president who was sworn in as the 47th president of the United States for the second time, he is now signing the executive orders in the Oval Office after taking oath. These are the live visuals coming in from the Oval Office, United States, viewers. Trump started his inaugural address with saying that this is the golden age for United States. Golden age of America begins now. That's what he had to say. And these are the live visuals coming in. You can see on your screens where he's showing off the executive orders that he has just signed in the Oval Office. And he has also granted pardons for the January 6th defendants. Remember, Capitol riots took place on January 6th. And that was a dark era in the history of US. He announced a slew of measures that he will be taking with respect to immigration, and he has also said that he will impose a national emergency at the US-Mexico border and will send troops and more manpower along the border. That's what he had to say earlier. And he has also thanked his supporters after taking oath as the 47th president of the United States. He is the only second president to be able to return to power in the United States.
Well, we're going to see on Venezuela. We're looking at Venezuela very strongly. It's a country I know very well for a lot of reasons, and it's, boy, it was a great country 20 years ago, and now it's a mess, right?
Sir, can we expect ICE raids starting tomorrow in major cities?
What does that mean?
Can we expect ICE raids in major cities?
I don't want to say when, but it's going to happen. Has to happen, or we're not going to have a country left.
This is actually an executive order designating the cartels and other organizations to be foreign terrorist organizations.
That's a big one.
Yes, sir.
People have wanted to do this for years. So.
Erdoney O'Sullivan is outside the D.C. jail where families and friends and supporters of the pardoned January 6th defendants are gathered expecting their release. I just want to go to him. If we can play this to the room, because I don't think you have an IFB. So if we can get the sound to the room so the senator can hear.
I can hear.
Oh, you can hear. You do have an IFB. Okay, Donnie, go ahead. Could you just talk about what's going on there?
Hey, Anderson. Yeah, I mean, really just incredible scenes here tonight. You know, we've done a few stories from this jail over the past few months. There's a lot of families, friends, supporters of these January 6th prisoners gathered up here. They are receiving calls from people in prisons across the country. There are a number of, we think, maybe about a dozen or so actual inmates in the D.C. jail, including Rachel Powell, who is a mom and grandmother that we featured on AC 360, who was sentenced to several years in prison. She broke a window at the Capitol with a pickaxe. She actually just called us in the last few minutes from inside the jail. She says they're hoping to get out tonight. They're excited in there. The news has trickled through into the jail, and they want to get out tonight. I gotta say, Anderson, you know, from speaking to these activists over the last few months, they always said they wanted this to happen, that they wanted everybody pardoned. Violent, non-violent, Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, everyone on down. But I don't think many of them really believed truly in their wildest dreams that Trump would do this. I think there was a nervousness, there was, you know, that maybe he might succumb to some of the political pressure from even within the Republican Party not to pardon the violent, the people who even attack police officers, the people who engage in conspiracy. But it seems as though everybody, at least the dreams of folks here tonight, are coming true. So folks are here, they're waiting to receive prisoners who may be coming out any minute now.
Donnie, we'll come back to you. Senator Warren, just hearing that, I mean, Stuart Rhodes was sentenced to 18 years. Enrique Tarrio, head of the so-called Proud Boys, 22 years. I mean, did you believe that this might happen, that those two serving those kind of sentences would be released?
No. But I think tonight about the families of the police officers who were killed. I think tonight about the police officers that we've met who helped protect us in the Capitol, and the ones who were beaten, the ones who feared for their lives. I think about what it means for them. Yeah, there's a group of folks outside celebrating, but I don't think they're celebrating tonight.
What role do you see Democrats having now? I mean, there's not a leader of the Democratic Party officially. Is that a problem? What is your job now? What is the role here?
My job is the same as my job has always been. I took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States. It's advise and consent on the nominees. And that means we do as much as we can for accountability, as much as we can to try to bring to the American people what is happening right now in Washington and to put that information in front of them and to keep pointing out what is also not happening. Like I said, this is a moment to flood the zone. There's so much to look at. But it's the promises that were made that aren't being kept tonight. The promises that people's lives were actually going to get better, that people were going to be more secure financially, that people could count on a government that didn't work for a handful of billionaires, but that worked for them. And those promises have been left in the dust.
The last-minute pardons by then President Biden to his family members, there were pardons earlier this morning, which were reported on, but these last-minute pardons, he chose to, make at the last minute when there wouldn't be as much attention, obviously, and there wouldn't kind of overshadow the ride to the Capitol. Was that a mistake?
Look, the President Biden should answer for himself, but it's a sad day in America when someone leaving office has to look around and say, am I facing a new president and a new administration who's going to come after my family just because they're my family, that's going to come after people I love just because I love them? Not because they're accused of any crimes, not because they've done anything wrong, but just because they're the people I care about. And ever since Donald Trump has said a big part of his argument for being president is that it would be about retribution, it would be about vengeance, and he used it today. There he is, making his speech after he's been inaugurated as president, and it's still full of how he was wronged and he was the one who was mistreated. Dang, guy, you were just elected president of the United States and just sworn in. Come on, enjoy the moment. But no, it's about how he has been mistreated and he will get even. That's not how we run a government and make it work. This is not about personal vengeance. We run a government to make it work for people. That's how it's supposed to be in a democracy.
Senator Elizabeth Warren, thank you for your time.
Appreciate
it. It is 9 p.m. Eastern time. The new president is now in celebration mode, and so are many of the people who attacked the Capitol or tried to overturn the election 4 years ago. They're getting out of prison, including some serving very long sentences after the president pardoned or commuted the sentences tonight. He is attending 3 inaugural balls this evening after signing all those executive orders, as you see there. Caitlin?
Yeah, Anderson, I am at one of the balls that we expect President Trump to come to. He's still at the White House right now as his day has been a little bit delayed. Obviously, he was in the Oval Office for much longer than people anticipated, signing those executive orders, either rescinding actions that President Biden took or taking actions of his own, like withdrawing from the World Health Organization, the Paris Climate Accords, in addition to the January 6 pardons, ones related to immigration. He's also attempting to get rid of the birthright citizenship, which is guaranteed, as we know, by the 14th Amendment. Everyone has said that's going to face a lot of legal challenges. But Anderson, based on our reporting, that's exactly the point that the White House team wants to essentially pursue here, because they believe if they face enough legal challenges and get this in front of the Supreme Court, that they can potentially be successful there. So they have been thinking through all of these executive orders for months now, what you saw President Trump signing there in the Oval Office. And if you notice, the person who is handing him all of those executive orders, that is the staff secretary who goes into the White House, of course, handles all the paper movement going in and out of the Oval Office, the flow of that. It's normally not a very household recognizable name for that position, but it was the last time Trump was in office because there was always such a question among senior staff over how certain executive orders got on his desk. And some of aides later acknowledged they would find executive orders on his desk and remove them from there because they did not want him to sign them. It was never just, a pretty formalized process like in other White Houses. And that was Will Sharp, who was formerly the Attorney General of Missouri, but also Donald Trump's attorney who represented him and argued before the Supreme Court on several cases. He is now one of several personal attorneys that Trump is bringing into his administration that was standing there with him as he was taking all of these questions, signing all of these executive orders, and really, reprising a role that we so often...
Well, signing his first set of executive orders, Trump has declared that he vows to make America great again. Akansha is joining us live on the broadcast. Akansha, we are learning that Trump has reversed 78 policies from the Biden era, and he also has exited. He has also signed the executive orders to exit from the World Health Organization, and he has withdrawn US from the Paris Climate Agreement. First, let's talk about the World Health Organization.
Right. You have to understand that there's a method to his madness, Kaveri, because he seems to have issues with the World Health Organization ever since the COVID pandemic had spread, and he had, in fact, all kinds of theories to, in fact, blame the WHO because he always felt that, the WHO was not doing enough and that they were colluding with China. And in fact, I remember that the WHO chief that time, Dr. Ghebreyesus, was also very, he was also consistently targeted by Donald Trump. So it's a little surprised that Donald Trump has now signed all, those formalities that will ensure that there's a quick and easy breakaway for the United States from WHO. How easy is that going to be? We'll have to see. But the kind of signing of the orders, the way Donald Trump has issued pardons for the January 6th rioters, as you rightly highlighted, that he's also exited the climate agreement. He's also reversed the Joe Biden era Green Deal. So a host of sweeping measures that have now been sort of adopted through these executive orders that he signed. We'll have to see how America responds to this because remember, these executive orders can also be challenged in the court.
Akansha, if we talk about this Green New Deal that we're talking about with the US withdrawing from the Paris Climate Agreement, this action of Trump aligns with his 2017 decision, and he counters the recent Biden administration's pledge to reduce US emissions by 2035. What do you have to say about that?
Absolutely. I think, Kaveri, what's important is that the Paris Agreement has been very significant for the entire globe, especially the first world countries as well. And now this is going to trigger a cascade of real world impact, signaling the beginning of a very aggressive agenda that Donald Trump is hoping to undo through the climate policy that was brought in. And as you rightly highlighted, this also echoes his previous sentiment. He had also exited the Paris Agreement back then. But it's also going to instantly isolate the United States from a global campaign that the world is heralding to stem catastrophic warnings. Now, we've always seen that Trump has had this disdain for the world's climate efforts. And this could bite deeper by taking effect more quickly. And this time around, since he signed several executive orders and he's clearly one of the first priorities was to exit the Paris Agreement. And at a time when the new president has more far-right allies overseas and at home. So, we'll have to see what happens to the Paris Climate Agreement now overall, because as we rightly highlighted, this time around we've seen this wave of right-wing leaders, and as far as this entire climate agreement policy is concerned, we'll have to see how long it lasts. It also marks the launch of an aggressive agenda that's now driven by an emboldened president, and he's not afraid to invite confrontation over scientific underpinnings of the climate change, Kaveri.
Akansha, right, not just the climate initiatives, he has also come down heavily on the LGBTQ protections. In one of the comments, he has said that there are only 2 recognized genders, that is male and female. What do you think this is going to mean for the American generation now?
Right. So, I think yesterday also during the entire discussion when I was talking to strategists and political strategists, they say that, this now that Donald Trump has recognized only 2 genders, male and female, that is going to be deeply problematic. He's also accused the government of trying to socially engineer race and gender into every aspect of public and private life. And he said that, he is going to put an end to it. He said that United States will adopt an official policy which will now recognize only 2 genders. So remember, all of those, as far as you rightly highlighted, the LGBTQ are concerned, the ones who do not recognize themselves with the male or the female gender, they're going to have a very difficult time. It's been made very amply clear by the U.S. President that he does not acknowledge all of those people who do not, who are not able to relate to either of the sexes. And it's being looked at as a very divisive move. But at the same time, we know his conservative and parochial views as far as religion is concerned. This time around, compared to his previous presidency, we've seen how Donald Trump has been alluding to Christianity, to God, to the presence of God. And it's just one of those very narrow parochial views that he's now endorsing. I do believe that it has its own sort of roots in those deeply conservative Christian beliefs he's been endorsing. So we'll have to see how this impacts the LGBTQ community in the United States. The critics have been extremely shocked that this is just another one of those ways through which Donald Trump is now, in fact, dividing the entire society, Kaveri.
Right, Akansha, as you rightly said, US is going through a major change now with all of these changes and the decisions that Trump has taken. Either they're going to be deeply problematic or a very massive change for America. Viewers, we're now slipping into a very short break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Donald Trump, the US president who was sworn in as the 47th president of the United States for the second time, he is now signing the executive orders in the Oval Office after taking oath. These are the live visuals coming in from the Oval Office, United States, viewers. Trump started his inaugural address with saying that this is the golden age for United States. Golden age of America begins now. That's what he had to say. And these are the live visuals coming in. You can see on your screens where he's showing off the executive orders that he has just signed in the Oval Office. And he has also granted pardons for the January 6th defendants. Remember, Capitol riots took place on January 6th. And that was a dark era in the history of US. He announced a slew of measures that he will be taking with respect to immigration, and he has also said that he will impose a national emergency at the US-Mexico border and will send troops and more manpower along the border. That's what he had to say earlier. And he has also thanked his supporters after taking oath as the 47th president of the United States. He is the only second president to be able to return to power in the United States.
Well, we're going to see on Venezuela. We're looking at Venezuela very strongly. It's a country I know very well for a lot of reasons, and it's, boy, it was a great country 20 years ago, and now it's a mess, right?
Sir, can we expect ICE raids starting tomorrow in major cities?
What does that mean?
Can we expect ICE raids in major cities
I don't want to say when, but it's going to happen. Has to happen, or we're not going to have a country left.
This is actually an executive order designating the cartels and other organizations to be foreign terrorist organizations.
That's a big one.
Yes, sir.
People have wanted to do this for years. So they are now designated as terrorist organizations, foreign.
Yeah.
Well, watching Donald Trump's day today, I'm just struck by the fact that we have a president again. I mean, look at this guy's day. 3 speeches, 196 executive actions, holds a 90-minute press conference narrating each one as he goes along. I mean, Joe Biden could not and would not offer the kind of transparency or vigor to the American people that we got here on day one from Trump. And tonight, Trump's going to throw on a tux and go to 3 balls. I mean, he's having an active day. I think it's going to be a massive amount of contrast here for a presidency like what we're going to see out of Trump and versus what we've had out of Biden. I was watching Trump today, and Van and I were talking earlier today, watching him walk down the hall of the Capitol, and the words that came to mind to me were gritty, resilient, determined, and audacious. There's not like a more perfect advertisement for the value of these qualities in modern America. I mean, you think about all the things that happened to him. Winning, losing, the court cases, nearly being assassinated. It's rather audacious what he has accomplished, winning this election and taking office today. And you said you were in shock. Well, Republicans are in awe.
What about the pardons? What's your take on that?
Here's what I think. Were these people punished? Yes. Were they ruined financially? Yes. Did they spend time in jail? Yes. Have their lives been ruined? Absolutely. And one of you said earlier, Van or Axe, that you think this sends a terrible signal that you can get away with things like this, as though we've never had a moment in recent American history when people were not punished for rampaging around when they shouldn't have been. It was the summer of 2020. And these people were actually punished. Those people were never even charged.
That's not true at all.
That's not true. Most charges were not.
Let him answer.
But I do see it differently in that I don't like it when people tear up buildings at all. I'm not a part of some pro-riot, pro-crime lobby. But I really don't like when people attack police officers. I really don't like it at all. I'm the son of a police officer. My uncle's a police officer. I don't like it at all. If you attack a police officer, before you get any lenience or before you get any support from this society, you should apologize. And they didn't. And that's wrong. And you yourself and others said you would have a problem if the violent ones were let go.
I concede it. I agree.
And that's my problem tonight.
I agree. I don't like the idea specifically the people that attack police. I'm in agreement with you on that. But I do think it is important to note that these people, whatever they did, whether it was just accidentally walking in or doing something much, much worse, Elliot, you can correct me if I'm wrong, most of them, if not all of them, did get punished, serve some kind of time. And my assumption is virtually all of them have had their lives effectively ruined by this.
I thought there were hundreds of them who have not actually been tried yet.
Several hundreds, but I think it's around 300 who haven't gone to trial yet.
I don't know, Scott. We sat here together after January 6th, and you were eloquent about how you felt about what you saw. And I felt the same way. And again, I go back to the point I made before. I think there were people there who were bent on violence. There were people there who belonged to white nationalist organizations. Leaders of them were among those who's had their sentences commuted or they were pardoned tonight. We'll see when all the smoke clears how they're classified. But that wasn't just, I think assaulting police officers was, an egregious affront. But assaulting the process of certifying a free and fair election was also an egregious affront. Rampaging through a building that you and I both revere was an egregious affront. And so, for the president to call them hostages and to essentially blanket excuse their behavior is part and parcel of the original sin, which was his assertion without evidence that he continues to this day to say that that election was stolen from him. They were actually acting on his representations. So, I think the whole thing, I agree he was energetic today. He projected the message he wanted to on a whole range of issues. He showed his stamina. You're going to have to stop living off of Joe Biden after a while here. But all of that is true. But there's a reason why they waited until the end of the day after the news, the evening news and so on. He didn't do it in front of the crowd at the arena. He went back to the White House later in the evening so it wouldn't dominate the coverage all day long. They knew. He didn't mention it in his inaugural speech. 57% of Americans said they disapprove of this when they were asked by the Wall Street Journal. 50 of them strongly disapproved. So I'll give him credit for political courage, I guess, because he did something that was deeply unpopular here by paroling these people. But there's really no way to justify it. And the fact that he showed a lot of stamina today doesn't really
I want to hear from Erin because we haven't heard from Erin. What do you think?
I think if you're part of the Trump team that's now in the White House today, that shock and awe, this big delivery today of all the executive actions, but J6 especially, those pardons, this is exactly what Donald Trump said they were going to do. That is going to be the Trump team stance coming out of today. They're going to be like, you want...
Brought to you. Donald Trump, the US president who was sworn in as the 47th president of the United States for the second time, he is now signing the executive orders in the Oval Office after taking oath. These are the live visuals coming in from the Oval Office, United States viewers. Trump started his inaugural address with saying that this is the golden age for United States. Golden age of America begins now. That's what he had to say. And these are the live visuals coming in. You can see on your screens where he's showing off the executive orders that he has just signed in the Oval Office. And he has also granted pardons for the January 6th defendants. Remember, Capitol riots took place on January 6th. And that was a dark era in the history of US. He announced a slew of measures that he will be taking with respect to immigration, and he has also said that he will impose a national emergency at the US-Mexico border and will send troops and more manpower along the border. That's what he had to say earlier. And he has also thanked his supporters after taking oath as the 47th president of the United States. He is the only second president to be able to return to power in the United States.
Well, we're going to see on Venezuela. We're looking at Venezuela very strongly. It's a country I know very well for a lot of reasons, and it's, boy, it was a great country 20 years ago, and now it's a mess, right?
Sir, can we expect ICE raids starting tomorrow in major cities?
What does that mean?
Can we expect ICE raids in major cities?
I don't want to say when, but it's going to happen. Has to happen, or we're not going to have a country left.
This is actually an executive order designating the cartels and other organizations to be foreign terrorist organizations.
That's a big one.
Yes, sir.
People have wanted to do this for years. So they are now designated as terrorist organizations, foreign. And Mexico probably doesn't want that. But we have to do what's right. They're killing our people. They're killing 250, 300,000 American people a year. Not 100. like has been reported for 15 years. It's probably 300,000.
This is an executive.
You said Mexico doesn't want that. How are you going to deal with this?
I don't know. You'll have to ask them.
Sir, this is an executive order entitled Protecting the American People Against Invasion, which again deals with the southern border and the unprecedented admission of illegal aliens across the southern border.
What do you see the biggest national security threat to the U.S., Mr. President? What's going to be your priority on foreign policy?
Say?
What's going to be your priority on foreign policy? What do you see as the biggest
Well,
national
foreign
security
policy is a big statement. I mean, my.
Hello, you're watching The Breakfast Club and we're joining you early this morning as we cover the frigid happenings over in Washington, D.C. Donald Trump sworn in as the 47th President of the United States. My name is Toya Singh and joining us, obviously, what else are we looking at today on the show, Sona?
Well, world is talking about one man, that is Trump. He has done already so much in the first day at his office. Well, so many executive orders have been signed in. Safe to say that the next 4 years are going to be very, very exciting for all of us covering the incident as well. But that's not the only event. Here in India, Kumbh continues to dominate minds. And today we are looking at the economics of it. What is generating revenue? Who is generating that revenue? Who are the different kind of people there? And what do brands got to really get out of the Kumbh Mela? So the economics of that is what we will discuss in the second half of the program. I'm Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor. Let's get started. The second era of Donald Trump, Trump's executive orders blitz, 78 Biden-era policies have been reversed. He has exited the WHO, the Paris Climate Treaty as well. Needs to protect borders, he says, and vows to reclaim the Panama Canal. Will protect free speech, also part of the speech that Trump made his inauguration over there, and also pardon for 1,500 Capitol rioters. They will be freed from the prison anytime now. All of this happening just on day one.
And then, as we promised, we bring you back home right here where the Mahakumbh very much continues. Faith meeting fortune, pilgrims, prophets and progress. We're going to be taking a look at how different brands are capitalizing on the Kumbh Mela moment. How are they making the best of this moment? How are they strategizing? And what does any of this mean? The Kumbh effect. We're taking a look at it as we map the patterns.
Then also on the program, we've got an interesting take on Pichwai, the 500 years of history immortalized with paintings, an art form that celebrates Leelas of Lord Krishna. The canvas of divine storytelling, how exactly is this now getting modernized, getting that modern tick and also maintaining its cultural legacy? We speak with Shehzad Ali on the program.
First up, as we promised, we would be remiss to not take you to everything that is taking place right now in Washington, D.C. U.S. President Donald Trump beginning his second term in office as the 47th President of the United States of America. Now, in just the last few minutes, we've watched a flurry of executive orders. Trump has reversed a staggering 78 policies that were introduced by his predecessor, Joe Biden. And this new administration has also confirmed the U.S.'s withdrawal from the Paris Climate Treaty. Remember, this is a reversal. And of course, the WHO, that's the World Health Organization. Trump has vowed to take a tough stance on immigration. He's promised to protect America's borders. What will that mean for immigrants? Of course, we're going to take a look at.
So this basically means Trump is being Trump. He's just going by and doing everything that he said in his campaign. But what has been a surprise is the president has also announced plans to reclaim the Panama Panama Canal, now sparking tensions with Panama's government as well. In a bid to appease his conservative base, Trump has pledged to protect free speech and has issued sweeping pardon also for over 1,500 individuals involved in the Capitol riots. Now, these dramatic developments have sent shockwaves through Washington and around the world, and we, of course, will be tapping into all of that. Let's first dip in and see what's the mood like in Washington, D.C. this evening, in fact, for them, while India is just waking up. Our colleague Sanjay Suri has this report.
So Donald Trump in charge now again as President of the US, the 47th President, inaugurated on an eventful day, as it always was going to be. It began with a pledge to protect America, and that was a part of course, the oath-taking ceremony at the US Congress. And then he delivered a speech, his inaugural address, in which he has said some very critical things about outgoing President Joe Biden. Said Biden led a horrible betrayal of the US and that it was a corrupt government. There was some comeback from Biden after he left. He said that he had the best team in the world, that they are giving up office but not giving up the fight. So this is something that is going to continue. It doesn't end with the inauguration and the speeches from Trump. A number of executive orders were signed along expected lines. A move to tighten and seal the southern border, a move to go after illegal migrants in the US, and this entirely has been in line with what he has always pledged he will do. And of course, he has the mandate from the people to do that. This is what he was elected for, and he must deliver on it. Then he has pardoned the January 6 rioters who were convicted. He had always said he will do that. All this has been along expected lines. A lot of his statements were a bit unexpected. For a start, he said in his second informal inauguration speech that he in fact did win the 2020 election, and this is certain to lead to a good deal of dismay even among Republicans. Not all of them will be easy with this kind of insistence in the face of facts that they have seen and acknowledged that that result was fair and not unfair as Trump says it was. Then on, Trump has stuck to a lot of his earlier threats. He has said again he'll take back Panama. He has said that he needs Greenland, America needs Greenland for its security. He has spoken of tariffs, 25% tariffs that he proposes. He has not said that is final yet, on Canada and on Mexico. He has again spoken of Prime Minister Trudeau, who he says he likes to call Governor Trudeau. So a lot of that stuff that people were not sure whether to take seriously has been repeated. So there's a lot here that will be music to the ears of his supporters. He is doing as president what he said he will do, but there is going to be concern and consternation among a lot of people within the country and outside.
All right, that's Sanjay Suri joining us with everything that's taking place. He's joining us live from Washington. Trump beginning his speech by saying that this is a golden age for the United States. His first few words, he's also said he's going to launch the largest deportation at the borders in history. And remember, this is similar to the build the wall rhetoric that we saw the first time around. But the differences between Trump 2.0 and Trump 1 are also very interesting to watch. The way the media is representing it, the designers that are coming out. So the designers we've seen the First Lady wear, the Vice President's wife wear. These are big designers, big names that are coming out in support for the first time, even in fashion choices. But what will this mean for India? That's obviously the interesting question.
That is interesting. We did see Foreign Minister Jaishankar there right in the front row while the inauguration was actually taking place, while the oath-taking ceremony was taking place. We do know that India at the moment, the present regime seems to be more comfortable with the Republican side than the Democrats for various obvious reasons. But at the time, tariffs are a major issue as well. One has to look at it, but too early to say. And the thing with Trump's administration is you really do not know what's really coming your way. So this is likely to keep the Foreign Office very, very busy and keep them on their toes. But while you do talk about inauguration, I think one cannot miss the fact of the massive presence of tech giants that was seen at the oath-taking ceremony. You saw Jeff Bezos, you saw Mark Zuckerberg, Sundar Pichai, Elon Musk, of course. And that somehow, the picture that came out, Toya, of him taking oath in the middle with ex-presidents and all of them on one side and the massive tech industry on the other, it did speak volumes of the concentration of where decisions will be taken, how decisions will be taken.
But also the faces that were missing. We were talking about Microsoft, Sam Altman,
OpenAI.
Yeah,
we don't know why they were missing or what happened over there, still to sort of get more details. But clearly, very, very, also another key thing, none of his family members are actually part of the administration this time around. A massive criticism that he got backlash from his own party. So a lot of these things are new, some not so much. His style not so much, his policies not so much. But is there a bit of a give and take? We're very, very early to really talk about that. But we have more content coming in and more pieces, editorial pieces coming in from our partner CNN in the United States. Let's dip into that for a moment.
President Donald Trump taking the oath of office Monday.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
He's the second president in U.S. history to serve a second term non-consecutively.
I return to the presidency confident and optimistic that we are at the start of a thrilling new era of national success.
Monday's events were held inside the Capitol due to extremely cold weather. Supporters, cabinet members, and political leaders, including the 4 other living presidents, packed inside the rotunda to watch Trump become the 47th president of the United States.
Our power will stop all wars and bring a new spirit of unity to a world that has been angry, violent, and totally unpredictable.
The day full of celebratory events across D.C., including a first honors ceremony to celebrate all branches of the U.S. military. In his speech, Trump laid out an ambitious agenda to tackle what he calls an immigration crisis, including declaring a national emergency at the southern border.
All illegal entry will immediately be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came.
Trump later holding an inauguration parade at Capital One Arena for his supporters, where he signed a slew of executive orders, including withdrawing the U.S. from the Paris Climate Agreement. The newly sworn-in president is expected to sign more executive orders in the coming days.
Right. Okay, let's take you now to how the United States is reacting. In particular, let's take a look at how CNN is covering this. Anderson Cooper live having this discussion right now with important figures from both the Democrats and the Republicans. A few minutes ago, we were hearing from Senator Elizabeth Warren. Let's take a look now at the experts who are voicing their opinions. Take a look.
Has been previewing this for months now, maybe in a better part of a year, but also he signed more executive orders, a lot of them inside the Oval Office tonight, and he is trying to put the country on a new path when it comes to immigration, a huge priority of his now that he's in office. And the border and migrant issue, of course, affects millions of people already in this country, some trying lawfully to get in. We saw a lot of tears today at the southern border as migrants discovered that appointments that they had made on an app to meet with immigration officers had been abruptly canceled right after Trump was sworn in. CNN's Priscilla Alvarez joins me now with more on that. And what appears to be, Priscilla, a very significant personnel shakeup when it comes to what we are looking at and the very people who deal with these issues. What can you tell us?
Yeah, Caitlin, President Trump had released a series of executive actions on immigration today, but it was actually the actions that were happening very quietly and behind the scenes that may have had some of the biggest impact, at least now in the near term. One of them, what you just mentioned, it is the end of CBP-1. That's a border app that essentially allows migrants to apply to come to a legal port of entry and schedule appointments. There are about 1,450 appointments a day. So over 1,000 migrants were disappointed today when, after waiting in line to have this appointment, had it abruptly canceled. Pair that with the fact that there's already restrictions along the U.S. southern border, and we're in this extraordinary place where asylum is essentially shut off at the U.S. southern border, which is unprecedented. Now, in addition to that, as you mentioned, I'm being told by sources that Trump officials also fired 4 key leaders that are part of the Justice Department's Immigration Office. This is called the Executive Office for Immigration Review. It oversees the nation's immigration courts. Why is that important? Because immigration judges decide who gets to stay in the U.S. and who is going to be deported. So this purge stunned officials because these officials were career public servants. So as the president was sitting at the Oval Office and signing sweeping executive actions like starting the process of trying to end birthright citizenship, like designating cartels as foreign terrorist organizations and essentially prefacing potentially military on Mexican soil, and with his national emergency declaration to shore up Pentagon resources, as all of that was happening, behind the scenes, thousands of migrants are already affected at the U.S. southern border, kept from coming into the United States. And at an agency at the Justice Department, there was sweeping change in who is in those key leadership roles. Now, I will also tell you, Caitlin, that there could be an unintended consequence of all of this. Homeland Security officials telling me that it is possible that those migrants who had scheduled appointments, they may try to cross illegally now. Now, we don't know if that's going to happen. It's very hard to gauge patterns and the ebbs and flows of migration, but that is a top concern this evening among Homeland Security officials who I've been talking to, who say, well, now they may be crossing illegally. Caitlin?
Yeah, certainly something to watch for. Priscilla Alvarez, thank you for that report. And as I noted, the scene behind me, you can tell the inauguration festivities here in Washington are continuing. I am actually at one of the 3 balls that are happening, and joining me here is CNN's John Berman. And John, as we've been talking about, obviously, the serious moves that Trump just made inside the Oval Office on the January 6th pardons on immigration, that's not really the environment that's reflected in here tonight. It's obviously a room filled with Trump supporters. Pete Hegseth, his cabinet picks are here. Kid Rock is to our left. I mean, there are certainly... what have you been observing as you've been in the room tonight?
So I've been in here for a few hours, as has everyone in this room. You really had to get here early to get through security. Some 6,000 people here at the Commander-in-Chief Ball, one of 3 balls, as you said, one of 2 balls in this giant convention center we're in right now. The Liberty Ball has about 15,000 people in it. President Trump will go to all 3 of these balls. Presidential balls have been a tradition since 1809. James Madison was the first president to have an inaugural ball. It was set up, I think, by the Washington Dancing Assembly was the organization that sponsored it up on Capitol Hill. So that's something that's now been part of the inaugurations for such a long time. The people here, there are no monitors. It looks like a campaign rally, but it's not, right?
It's packed in here.
It's packed, but there are no monitors. There's no politicking going on here. So people here haven't been watching the pardons going on in the Oval Office. They may not know the minute by minute. They're here, presumably, to have a party, to see Rascal Flatts perform, to watch the President and First Lady dance, which they will, right up there on that presidential seal, which you can see. We also do expect remarks from President Trump here, Caitlin.
Yeah, and of course, everyone will be watching to see what he says on that. We've heard from him several times today. And Anderson, as we wait for the president to arrive here, you know, he signed a lot of executive orders today. It's easy to not notice all of them or not be able to look through all of them, but I've been looking at one, and it's titled Memorandum to Resolve the Backlog of Security Clearances for Executive Office of the President Personnel. It may not strike you. You might not pay attention to that when you're looking through all of these, given the ones about January 6 pardons. But I've been reading through it, and essentially they are blaming the Biden administration for a backlog in security clearances for their nominees. And so because of that, Trump is saying that he is authorizing the White House counsel to provide top secret security clearance to essentially anyone for about 6 months so they can come into the White House, work, have access to computer systems and classified information. And obviously that was an issue that Trump faced in his first term with security clearances, that he overrode issues or concerns that people had, including for Jared Kushner, and instead did grant them those security clearances. This is saying that he would provide the White House counsel with a list of personnel that are immediately granted these top secret security clearances for the next 6 months as they undergo those background checks, and that process continues. But essentially, they will have access to this without having completed that, Anderson.
Caitlin, thanks. I want to go back to our panel. Also joining us is former New Hampshire Republican Governor Chris Sununu. Governor, thanks for joining us.
You bet.
First of all, the pardons, what do you make?
Well, look, I personally, I think he should have been a lot more surgical, strategic about I think we're all pretty surprised about this blanket pardon of 1,500 people.
The Enrique Tarrios.
Yeah, I mean, and it goes along with what the vice president said. You know, he thought, again, just a couple days ago, making a statement that it wasn't going to be a blanket of pardons. And I can tell you what's happening outside the jail tonight. I don't think the White House wants that. It's a complete distraction. I don't think they were planning on that per se. But again, he's going to do what he's going to. Look, you're talking to a governor that's never pardoned anybody in 8 years. So I'm not really partial to pardons at all. But he said he was going to do it. What will the net result be to the American people, to the public? Yeah, we don't love it. He said he was going to do it. Are we going to fix immigration?
So a Republican voice chiming in there on everything that's taking place right now. A very, very active first day is the big headline that I think everyone can agree on. We're going to be heading...
so many executive orders that one is really looking into and getting the details minute by minute. We are keeping a tap on it here on the Breakfast Club as well. We'll keep dipping in and out of that coverage. For the moment, quick break.
Donald Trump, the US president who is sworn in as the 47th president of the United States for the second time, he is now signing the executive orders in the Oval Office after taking oath. These are the live visuals coming in from the Oval Office, United States viewers. Trump started his inaugural address with saying that this is the golden age for United States. Golden age of America begins now. That's what he had to say. And these are the live visuals coming in. You can see on your screens where he's showing off the executive orders that he has just signed in the Oval Office. And he has also granted pardons for the January 6th defendants. Remember, Capitol riots took place on January 6th. And that was a dark era in the history of US. He announced a slew of measures that he will be taking with respect to immigration, and he has also said that he will impose a national emergency at the US-Mexico border and will send troops and more manpower along the border. That's what he had to say earlier. And he has also thanked his supporters after taking oath as the 47th president of the United States. He is the only second president to be able to return to power in the United States.
Well, we're going to see on Venezuela. We're looking at Venezuela very strongly. It's a country I know very well for a lot of reasons, and it's, boy, it was a great country 20 years ago, and now it's a mess, right?
Sir, can we expect ICE raids starting tomorrow in major cities?
What does that mean?
Can we expect ICE raids in major cities tomorrow?
I don't want to say when, but it's going to happen. Has to happen, or we're not going to have a country left.
This is actually an executive order designating the cartels and other organizations to be foreign terrorist organizations.
That's a big one.
Yes, sir.
People have wanted to do this for years. So they are now designated as terrorist organizations, foreign. And Mexico probably doesn't want that. But we have to do what's right. They're killing our people. They're killing 250, 300,000 American people a year. Not 100, like has been reported for 15 years. It's probably 300,000.
This is an executive.
Listen, Mexico doesn't want that. How are you going to deal with this?
I don't know. You'll have to ask them.
Sir, this is an executive order entitled Protecting the American People Against Invasion, which again deals with the southern border and the unprecedented admission of illegal aliens across the southern border.
What do you see the biggest national security threat to the U.S., Mr. President? What's going to be your priority on foreign policy?
Say?
What's going to be your priority?
Welcome back to the Breakfast Club. Let's take you now to some arts and some culture. Art, devotion, tradition. They come together in a very stunning display that takes us back into time. Right at the heart of Delhi, a gallery is hosting an exhibition that brings to life one of India's most celebrated and intricate art forms. One that has actually been passed down from generation to generation for over 500 years.
Now, it's a journey that celebrates divine storytelling through vibrant hues inspired by the Leelas of Lord Krishna. Now, Ashya visited the gallery and this is what she found.
Step into a world where art meets divinity. A world painted with devotion, heritage, and intricate detail. At the Sri Dharani Gallery in New Delhi, the Shringar exhibition brings to life the 500-year-old tradition of Pichwai art. Rooted in the Bhakti movement and inspired by the Leelas of Lord Krishna, this exhibition is not just a display, but it's a journey through India's artistic and spiritual legacy. Each stroke tells us a story, be it the vibrant peacocks, the lotus blooms, or the omnipresent image of Srinathji, the 7-year-old manifestation of Lord Krishna. This is Pichwai, a divine tapestry that has transcended time and space.
So we have got the elements which have been the same in all the paintings. So everywhere we have got the cows, we have got the peacocks, we have got the lotuses, we have got the 3 elements that are used for his worship, the prasad dibba, pan bida and jal patra. These are always there. So these are still the same, but still at the same time the earlier Pichwais were much more intricate. Right, so we had even more detailings that were done in the paintings. Today, of course, we have got artists who still continue to have this much intricacy in their works. But due to the rising commercialization, a lot more artists today are focusing more on creating Pichwais just for select purposes, instead of having them for their intricacy or for their religious aspects or even for their cultural aspect.
Pichwai art serves as a spiritual canvas, narrating the Leelas of Lord Krishna. Each painting here is a chapter in the tale of devotion and artistry. The title of the exhibition, Shringar, reflects the adornment of devotion, celebrating Lord Krishna's divine beauty through art.
Maharas is the divine dance of Krishna, and that actually happened on the night of Sharad Purnima. So days before Sharad Purnima, we have got the Pichwai painting of Sharad Purnima, but on the day of Sharad Purnima we have got the Maharas that is displayed behind the idol. Yes, basically that we have got just one Krishna, but that same Krishna is there with each and every gopi. So we have, this basically depicts his omnipresence. He is everywhere. He is not just in the center, he is with you, he is with you, he is with you, and he is with me as well.
Can you tell us about this setup? Quite interesting, right in the heart of the exhibition here?
Yes, I can. So this basically provides the cultural context to what exactly Pichwai is. As I said before, Pichwais are used as backdrops for the idol of Srinathji. So over here we have got the idol of Srinathji, that's again made out of kadam wood. Kadam, that is dear to Krishna, right? It's also the one that witnessed the Ras Leela. Then we have got the kadam sculpture of Srinathji in the front, and we have got the Pichwai painting at the back.
And this evolution is not just artistic, it is also technological and collaborative. Platforms like Memeraki are ensuring that these traditional art forms not only survive but thrive in the global digital landscape.
We've completely immersed ourselves in the divine storytelling of Pichwai. This exhibition is not just a treat for the eyes, but a journey through time, a reminder of how art keeps our traditions alive. With video journalist Sumit, this is Ashreya Kannan for CNN News 18.
All right, so that was Ashreya at the exhibition giving you a tour of it. But the Shringar exhibition actually concludes today at the Dharani Gallery. And if you haven't visited already, you have a chance to sort of immerse yourself in that art form as well. And speaking of keeping traditions alive, actually, we now take you to a conversation with Shehzad Ali Shirani, the legendary artist who actually dedicated his life to preserving this very art form.
Right, he's known for creating many masterpieces, and a piece that he created very recently for Neeta Ambani that actually went viral. In it, he blended ancient techniques with obviously more contemporary designs. Now, his own journey is one of passion, of perseverance, and we thought we should bring him onto the show just to understand a little bit about how he's melding together heritage, art, and culture in the modern day. So let's have him on now to ask him a little more. Shehzadji, thank you. Good morning. Thank you for joining us here on the show. Can you tell us first, can you share your experience creating the hand-painted blouse in particular for Ms. Ambani? How did that collaboration with Manish Malhotra come out? How did you go about it?
देखिए उन्होंने जो काम हमसे करवाया था तो वो तो हम लोगों के तो रूटीन का काम है तो लेकिन इतनी बड़ी हस्तियों से के साथ काम करके बड़ा अच्छा लगा और बहुत खुशी हुई कि हमारा काम उन लोगों को पसंद आया।
तो शहजाद जी, ये जो आप इतने सुंदर पैटर्न्स बनाते हैं, इतने अच्छे मोटिव्स बनाते हैं जिनके ऊपर आप काम करते हैं, ये क्या पहले के मुताबिक आजकल के ज़माने में कुछ बदल रहे हैं कि आपको लगता है कि पहले वाले जो ट्रेडिशंस हैं उनको कैरी फॉरवर्ड करना चाहिए?
देखिए मैं पिछले 55 साल से पेंटिंग कर रहा हूँ। पहले राधा कृष्ण पे किसी स्टाइल के राधा कृष्ण बनते थे। धीरे धीरे मैंने पिछवाई की तरफ भी मेरा रुझान हुआ और मैं अब ये सब पिछवाई भी कर रहा हूँ, राधा कृष्ण भी करता हूँ, साथ में पिछवाई भी कर रहा हूँ।
शहजाद जी, हमें बताइए चैलेंजेस क्या क्या आती हैं आपके सामने?
नहीं, मुझे कभी भी किसी भी तरह की चुनौती का सामना नहीं करना पड़ा क्योंकि मैं पद्मश्री कृपाल सिंह जी शेखावत का शिष्य हूँ जो बहुत बड़े आर्टिस्ट हुए हैं। अब वो इस दुनिया में नहीं है लेकिन उनकी जो शिक्षा थी, उन्होंने जो मुझे पढ़ाया वो इतना संपूर्ण, इतना बढ़िया पढ़ाया था कि वो आज तक, और मैंने उनके मुंह से निकला हुआ एक एक शब्द पकड़ के रखा जो आज भी मेरे काम आ रहा है। तो मुझे कहीं भी मेरे पिता डॉक्टर फयाज जी साहब खुद किशनगढ़ पेंटिंग में और ट्रेडिशनल पेंटिंग के मास्टर आदमी थे, आर्टिस्ट नहीं थे लेकिन आर्ट क्रिटिक थे। उन्होंने किशनगढ़ स्कूल ऑफ पेंटिंग पे बुक लिखी है जो अभी अमेजोन से पब्लिश हुई है। तो और हिंदी में उन्होंने नागेशदास जी हमारे आठवें राजा हुए, किशनगढ़ के आठवें राजा जो बड़े भक्त थे राधा कृष्ण के, उन्होंने जो पढ़ लिखे हैं उन पे उन्होंने PhD किया है।
All right, so that was शहजाद अली शिरानी. Thank you so much. हमसे बातचीत करने के लिए बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया और आप ऐसे ही आर्ट फॉर्म को फ्लरिश करते रहें. And for anybody else, like we said, that you always have a chance to sort of go in and dip yourself in that experience as well. For the moment, we're going to slip into a quick break. On the other side, like we promised, we are going to take you to Kumbh, where we look at not just the faith, but how fortunes are meeting fate. Pilgrims and prophets and progress. How Kumbh Mela is actually powering India's economy, the business of the Mahakumbh. What is this effect? We tell you on the other side of this very quick break.
Donald Trump, the US president who was sworn in as the 47th president of the United States for the second time, he is now signing the executive orders in the Oval Office after taking oath. These are the live visuals coming in from the Oval Office, United States, viewers. Trump started his inaugural address with saying that this is the golden age for United States. Golden age of America begins now. That's what he had to say. And these are the live visuals coming in. You can see on your screens where he's showing off the executive orders that he has just signed in the Oval Office. And he has also granted pardons for the January 6th defendants. Remember, Capitol riots took place on January 6th. and that was a dark era in the history of US. He announced a slew of measures that he will be taking with respect to immigration, and he has also said that he will impose a national emergency at the US-Mexico border and will send troops and more manpower along the border. That's what he had to say earlier. And he has also thanked his supporters after taking oath as the 47th President of the United States. He is the only second president to be able to return to power in the United States.
Well, we're going to see on Venezuela. We're looking at Venezuela very strongly. It's a country I know very well for a lot of reasons, and it's, boy, it was a great country 20 years ago, and now it's a mess, right?
Sir, can we expect ICE raids starting tomorrow in major cities?
What does that mean?
Can we expect ICE raids in major cities
I don't want to say when, but it's going to happen. Has to happen, or we're not going to have a country left.
This is actually an executive order designating the cartels and other organizations to be foreign terrorist organizations.
That's a big one.
Yes, sir.
People have wanted to do this for years. So they are now designated as terrorist organizations, foreign, and Mexico probably doesn't want that, but we have to do what's right. They're killing our people. They're killing 250, 300,000 American people a year, not 100, like has been reported for 15 years. It's probably 300,000.
This is an executive.
Listen, Mexico doesn't want that. How are you going to deal with this?
I don't know. You'll have to ask them.
Sir, this is an executive order entitled Protecting the American People Against Invasion, which again deals with the southern border and the unprecedented admission of illegal aliens across the southern border.
Welcome back. Now, as crores of devotees gather at the sacred banks of the Ganges, the Kumbh Mela 2025 is not just a celebration of faith, it's an economic bonanza. Now, according to projections that have been made by the Confederation of All India Traders at CAIT, the 45-day mega event has a staggering 2 trillion business potential, driven by the scale of its audience and the economic activities. With 40 crore visitors expected, the Mela creates opportunities across sectors. The Uttar Pradesh government alone is likely to rake up in about 2 lakh crore in revenue, thanks to an average spend of about 5,000 per visitor. Brands are making the most of this massive footfall, investing about 2,000 crore in advertising blitz, from hoarding to mobile apps. Top industries and even sectors like FMCG, hospitality, Ayurveda are leveraging this platform to launch innovative products, from portable beds to by Amazon, like the Bhakti app by Kuku FM. There is also Blinkit, which is operated in office over there.
Local businesses, from tent providers to boatmen, they're thriving too. Tents ranging right from 1,500 rupees for basic setups to more luxurious night villas. Boatmen are expected to earn crores, and helicopter tours alone will be generating 3.5 crores. That's just some of the money being generated. The hospitality industry is also cashing in, with temporary lodgings, hotels and guest houses expected to contribute 40,000 crore rupees. Meanwhile, the food and beverage sector, let's tell you a little bit about that. 20,000 crore rupees to the overall trade, driven by the sales of packaged food, beverages and local delicacies. Even traditional and religious merchandise, so everything from idols to incense sticks, Ganga water, it's estimated to generate 20,000 crore rupees. And as per CAIT, Kate, advertising, promotions, media activities alone, all of that will be generating 10,000 crore rupees.
Now, the Mela administration is also sort of leasing vending zones across 25 sectors, creating a platform for entrepreneurs to launch food stalls, amusement zones, retail setups, etc. Now, this confluence of faith and commerce actually reflects a very unique economic potential of India's cultural events. It is just the starting, is it? That's the question that we want to ask. Is that something similar that we saw at the Ram Janmabhoomi temple last year? Is this going to continue? Let's sort of delve in deeper into how this spiritual celebration actually fuels India's economy. We've got guests joining us now. First up, let's bring in Harish Bijur, brand consultant with us this morning. Good morning, Harish. Thanks so much for joining us. You know, the first question really when it comes to mind, when it's got to do with Kumbh, is that what is it about Kumbh that is making all brands and marketeers, say that this is a tick in the box that we must have? You've got Coca-Cola, you've got ITC, international brand, State Bank of India saying that we will operate a branch there from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. You've got a bus ATM which is revolving around. So there are a lot of brands integrating themselves and saying that we've got to make our presence felt.
For a start, brands don't have a religion. The only religion brands know is money and profit and margin. And to that extent, brands are loving the Mahakumbh. The Mahakumbh is a once in a 4-year opportunity. It's brilliant. It is attracting so many people. Even if I don't take the official numbers of 1 crore of people every day, I can definitely take the drone monitored numbers of 71 lakh people every day. Even 71 lakh multiplied into 45 is a big number. And this is exciting the marketer. The marketer looks at this as a ground level opportunity to showcase brands. Because, India and the great Indian middle class is going through a complete slump. The 573 million middle class, which represents about 38% of the total population, is going through the churner. There isn't enough money to spend. But, when an event such as this comes up, it's a brilliant opportunity because, on the ground, people hit the ground and you want to be seen there. There is a FOMO on the Mahakumbh and, nobody wants to miss out on the opportunity of being there, feeling it. And the best thing of the Mahakumbh is the chemistry that the event brings together. There are just 2 big chemistries that operate in India. One is political chemistry and the other is religious chemistry. At the Mahakumbh, you have religious chemistry in full play. Political chemistry we enjoy every time there's an election. In Delhi, they're going through that at this point of time. But religious chemistry, I think this is the biggest congregation of religious chemistry in the world.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so we're also joined right now. Our audiences can already see Sunil Alag has joined us along with you, Harish. So as you were speaking, Sunil's window also popped up. Sunil, if we could go over to you now to ask you, a few years ago, we saw a particularly poignant campaign take place right here in one of the melas. I believe it was Red Label's Tea for Trash. So you collected trash and they gave you tea in response to that. This time, any particular campaigns you've seen a brand do where you've looked at it and you've gone, that's intelligent. That's a beautiful way of tying together, religious practice, caring for society with brand identity.
Look, as far as I'm concerned, it's the biggest gathering, Harish has said. But the kind of an opportunity is there because it all depends upon placing your brand. Who are you placing it with and where are you placing it? Because you can have so many crores of people missing your brand altogether in terms of costs. So as far as I'm concerned, you have to look at where are you going to place your brand. IPL takes place only for 5 weeks in a year, but where you place your brand, is it across the chest? Is it just a hoarding which you have when somebody is entering? Then it all depends upon whether somebody sees it or not. For instance, on television today, you get various programs which are known, and yet you have 45 or 50 ads which appear at the same time. So the question is, are you noticed or not? Are you there or aren't you there? So it's just a question of saying, I'm there. All marketing people feel that, look, I'm there. But have the consumers noticed you? Have they not noticed you? It's very, very important for me. As important as being there. So see, Kumbh, for instance, when I went there 24 years ago, every 12 years it happened. I took a dip myself 24 years ago. That is, I haven't gone there again. But the question of brand and advertising, it all depends upon where you are. For instance, now you asked a question on whether or not it's important for Tata Tea, for instance, has come out with various political situations where you vote for someone. Come and vote, come and clean. Now that if your brand if you're just happening in 1 year, then people will forget you. Are you there for so many years consistently that people remember your brand? Now, for instance, Tata Tea, for instance, you remember. But how many brands are there which come and clean the city and whatever else? Once 1 year you spend money, and then after that you don't spend money again. So you don't remember that brand altogether. You remember cleaning the city. You remember going there, but you don't remember the brand.
Yeah, yeah. I think, Harish, what Sunil is also trying to say here is that it is about footfall, it is about eyeballs, right? At the end of the day, that has gotten everybody interested. But I want to understand how much of these decisions are driven by commerce and how much of it is just, say, window dressing, just to sort of put it in your slides and showcase that, we were there.
Okay, let me take two perspectives on it, two quick ones. One is what the UP government thinks. The UP government obviously believes this to be a fundamentally strong event that can bring in revenue for the state. So the UP government itself is talking about 2 lakh crore of Indian rupees coming in. And I think that's fantastic. And this 2 lakh crore is going to contribute to the GDP of the state in a big way. And it's also going to contribute to the GDP of the country by and large, because all GDP will not go only to the state. So a 1.1% blip on the GDP of this country is expected just because of the Mahakumbh of 45 days. So that's beautiful. How much of it is commerce? I think, commerce falls into place after the event has been put together. And the event is such a big draw that, commerce follows eyeballs. And, to use television language, we have something called the TRP, right? The television rating point. For me, the Mahakumbh offers human rating points on the ground. So if I'm really talking about 3,700 crores of rupees being spent by marketers onto the Kumbh, I'm saying that as much as 25 to 26% of it is going to be on outdoor and on the ground to capture human rating points. And if you have seen a brand doing brilliant stuff at the Mahakumbh, you will remember it. And the chemistry that religion brings to the party is going to make it that much more memorable. This is a very clever patli gully for a lot of brands to associate with religion and yet not associate with religion. I've started the discussion saying brands don't have a religion, but brands love religion as well. Yeah.
I think that's so interesting though, associating but not associating entirely. Can you just tell us, let's go over Sunil to ask you this. There are two parts to this. One is the on the ground that we see a brand do with presence, and the second part to that is how the brand represents that on the ground presence online. So we've seen CEOs, for example, take photos of their brand's presence on the ground in Kumbh. That post has gone viral. Can you just tell us a little bit about what you're seeing there, the social mediaification of all of this, and also touch on how digital first brands are playing with the Mahakumbh?
See, look, consistency is very important. Pepsi and Coke, of course, advertise throughout the year and they are going into, so you remember those brands. But the many brands that are only appearing in the Kumbh and are taking advantage of religion, you don't remember after that. Unless you, every year for the next 12 years, are you going? Now, a lot of people, as Harish has said, this is one opportunity in 12 years. It comes in 12 years. But how are you taking it forward after this? Are you just appearing once and going away? Then it does not help your brand as much as you would like to. But if you are doing consistently throughout the year, and for the next 12 years, you will say that, all right, not religion, not politics, nothing to do with anything, but you give your message across and you consistently give that message. Then it matters. Then it really matters, because if you just appear once only for your CEO or someone, then you can forget about the brand within, and people don't have that kind of memory anymore. Don't have the memory of religion, don't have the memory of politics, don't have this kind of memory unless you are able to consistently build on this particular. So consistency is as important for the brand marketer as it is for anyone else. But if you are appearing only once in the whole year and don't do anything for your brand, then forget about it.
Yeah, so it has to be part of a larger brand strategy and a purpose that has to be married in. right? Not just
Throughout
a
the year.
footfall. Correct.
And throughout the year, and you carry on over the years. For the next 12 years, you will see not talking about Kumbh Mela, but so many brands on their value of their brand is most important.
Yeah. Harish, can I ask you a larger question here then?
Not just...
It's not, we'll just come back to you, Mr. Alag. It's not just about Kumbh Mela. Is there a pattern of sorts emerging in the country where we are seeing capitalism and spirituality sort of come together in some way? Is this an experiment of sorts that we will see more of in the future? Again, in the intro, I spoke about how last year's Ram Mandir, of which we are hitting an anniversary tomorrow, also was one such event. Is this a pattern? I'm just trying to read.
Yeah, I think you strike a right note. The question is absolutely correct. I think, all of a sudden, India and Indians are rather proud of their religion. The Hindu is very proud of wearing his, her, or their religion on their sleeves. And I think, governments, marketers are good centers. They scent and see what works. And as of today, sociologically speaking, I think India stands at a point when the Hindu is very proud to say, I am a Hindu and I will stand up for who I am. And when the Hindu does that, I think, anything that really revolves around the faith of the Hindu comes to the fore. The Ram Janmabhoomi temple was one of it. The Kumbh, whether it's, the Kumbh or the Mahakumbh, the Kumbh represents a big event. I mean, it's like the Olympics.
Or the Super Bowl, as some people have called it.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the periodicity of 4 and 12, and I'm looking at the fact that Olympics happens once in 4 years, and, that kind of a correlation. But typically, it simply means to say that marketers cater to what people want to hear. Marketers love to keep their finger on the pulse of the people. Similarly, politicians keep their pulse on the fingers of the people. What the people want to hear, they give to them. And I think, this is a beautiful way of showcasing the Kumbh, the Mahakumbh, and creating events and building chemistry out of such brilliant, great events. It brings back reverence, it brings back chemistry, and it brings back opportunities for marketers, greedy or not.
Okay, so just to understand a little bit more on that note, Sunil, if we could come to you, can you take our audiences down memory lane? Because you said you've actually attended Kumbh, but years ago. Compare the current Mahakumbh to the Kumbhs you've seen in the past. Just a few seconds ago, we were playing out visuals of the creative director of Valentino actually attending the Mahakumbh. We know Steve Jobs' wife attended it, but that kind of international attendance...
Even local, Tarun Tehliani with his daughter.
Right. That's what we were playing. That kind of attendance, is it normal for the Kumbh in many ways, or does this time actually feel different?
See, as far as Harish is concerned, I'm an Hindu. I remember that I went to the Kumbh not because of what brands were advertised or anything. I went to the Kumbh because of Kumbh. And I've been there once, 24 years ago. So many Hindu, but India is Christians, Muslims, everybody else. So if you associate too much with the Kumbh, that means you're a Hindu and you do not think of anybody else. Now, what I'm saying is that, look, for a brand to be consistent throughout the year, the message cannot be about Kumbh. The number of people who are coming to the Kumbh, you are approaching them. But you cannot claim that you are a Hindu. And we, as a Hindu, don't follow as violently as we can. But if we do that, then politics on the other side will only aim at Hindus, not about all the other religions. See, the brand must be consistent in its message. That's very important for you to remember. Are you Pepsi or Coke? Do not talk about so many of the people coming to the Kumbh. Yes, that I agree with Harish. But do you talk about Kumbh Mela only? Then you've had it. You've had it because everyone else will go against you. So I'm a Hindu and I wear it on my sleeve. I'm a Hindu. That's okay. But I went to the Kumbh because of the Kumbh, not because of anything else. So brand, when they market their products, when they come in for advertising, they see so many people coming there. Their message has to be slightly non-Hindu in the sense that you are taking the advantage of the Kumbh. That's what I am saying, but maybe Harish is better than me in relating what is the message that the brand gives.
Since you've named him, I'll just give him a quick, time to rebut that. Harish, quickly.
No. I think Sunil is absolutely right. You must never associate a brand too much with religion. If you notice my opening remark, it was to say that brands don't have a religion. Brands must not wear religion on their sleeves, but humans can. Hindus can wear Hinduism on their sleeves, Christians can wear Christianity on their sleeves, and Muslims can wear Muslim as a religion, Islam on their sleeves. But the beauty of India is this. I think we have fantastic options. At Velankani, if you go and see exactly what happens, I mean, there's beauty there. Okay, at Sabarimala, you have beauty. So literally every religion has its own kind of a fee. Okay, and therefore that's unity in diversity, and that's what India brings. Today it's the Kumbh, tomorrow it's Velankani, and day after tomorrow it's something else. Yeah.
I think it's a good point to sort of take a break over there. Sunil, Alag, Harish, Pishur, thank you both for joining us with such a fascinating discussion. And it's actually about that. It's not about how Kumbh or what religion it's about. It's about how commerce is building up, and which is the underlying note here, how commerce, economics is building up around these spiritual, events of sorts. There is spiritual tourism as well, but we'll talk about that tomorrow.
All right, next we're going to bring you a special section on financial markets powered by Money Control Pro, Money Control's premium destination for investing and business insights. Okay, first let's take a look at GIFT Nifty. It's indicating a stable opening for Indian stock markets. Stock markets in Asia were trading in a band as investors await clarity on policies of US President Donald Trump. Remember, he's just been sworn in. Prices of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, are rising to new heights, though, as Donald Trump takes charge as US President. US dollar is particularly in focus as Trump is threatening new tariffs on trading partners.
Let's look at the sector in focus this morning. Some of the discretionary consumption categories like footwear were feeling a heat of urban slowdown. However, the Q3, there was a recovery in sales. Festive and wedding season sales as well as low base in corresponding quarter last year helped, with higher wedding dates of Q4 FY25 as well as improving consumer sentiment. Q4 could actually sustain that momentum. You can log into Money Control Pro to find out more about India's footwear industry and various other actionable insights on the markets. It's a premier destination for all the investing views and financial insights you will ever need, brought to you by Money Control.
All right, with that, we're drawing the show to a close. Tomorrow, we're looking at something that is similar to what we looked at today.
So we spoke about the very fascinating idea of how economics and commerce is developing around Kumbh. Tomorrow, we look at spiritual tourism, because it's not Kumbh alone. This is a pattern that's emerging. Jeffrey's latest article actually talks about how this will be a major push and trend in 2025. We've got you covered. Don't worry. See you 8 tomorrow. Bye.
Goodbye.
Donald Trump, the US president who was sworn in as the 47th president of the United States for the second time, he is now signing the executive orders in the Oval Office after taking oath. These are the live visuals coming in from the Oval Office, United States, viewers. Trump started his inaugural address with saying that this is the golden age for United States. Golden age of America begins now. That's what he had to say. And these are the live visuals coming in. You can see on your screens where he's showing off the executive orders that he has just signed in the Oval Office. And he has also granted pardons for the January 6th defendants. Remember, Capitol riots took place on January 6th. And that was a dark era in the history of US. He announced a slew of measures that he will be taking with respect to immigration, and he has also said that he will impose a national emergency at the US-Mexico border and will send troops and more manpower along the border. That's what he had to say earlier. And he has also thanked his supporters after taking oath as the 47th president of the United States. He is the only second president to be able to return to power in the United States.
Well, we're going to see on Venezuela. We're looking at Venezuela very strongly. It's a country I know very well for a lot of reasons, and it's boy, it was a great country 20 years ago, and now it's a mess, right?
Sir, can we expect ICE raids starting tomorrow in major cities?
What does that mean?
Can we expect ICE raids in major cities
I don't want to say when, but it's going to happen. Has to happen, or we're not going to have a country left.
This is actually an executive order designating the cartels and other organizations to be foreign terrorist organizations.
That's a big one.
Yes, sir.
People have wanted to do this for years. So they are now designated as terrorist organizations, foreign. And Mexico probably doesn't want that. But we have to do what's right. They're killing our people. They're killing 250, 300,000 American people a year. Not 100, like has been reported for 15 years. It's probably 300,000.
This is an executive.
Listen, Mexico doesn't want that. How are you going to deal with this?
I don't know. You'll have to ask them.
Sir, this is an executive order entitled Protecting the American People Against Invasion, which again deals with the southern border and the unprecedented admission of illegal aliens across the southern border.
What do you see the biggest national security threat to the U.S., Mr. President? What's going to be your priority on foreign policy?
Say?
What's going to be your priority on foreign policy? What do you see as the biggest
Well,
national
foreign
security
policy is a
threat?
big statement. I mean, my priority on foreign policy, it's going to be to keep America safe. Very simple. It's a big question, though. That's a very big question.
Who is going to be the first foreign leader that you plan to meet, or who are you going to call tomorrow on your first day in
I've
office?
already been meeting people. I've been meeting them. I've been talking to them. I met with Prime Minister Trudeau, who I call Governor Trudeau. I met with numerous foreign leaders. Go ahead.
Sir, this next order relates to the definition of birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment of the United States.
Good. That's a good one. Birthright. That's a big one.
What about that one in the course? That one is likely to be challenged.
Could be. We think we have good grounds, but you could be right. I mean, you'll find out. It's ridiculous. We're the only country in the world that does this with birthright, as you know. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. But, you know, we'll see. We have very good grounds.
Sir,
People have wanted to do this for decades.
Sir, this is a proclamation declaring a national emergency at the southern border of the United States.
That's a big one. A lot of big ones, huh? You know what that means, right?
President Trump, did President Biden leave you a letter?
He may have. Wait. Don't they leave it in the desk? I don't know. Oh.
What's in there?
Thank you, Peter. It could have been years before we found it. Wow. Thank you.
What does it say on the outside?
Maybe we should all read it together.
Let's read it.
Well, maybe I'll read it first and then make that determination.
That sounds great.
Peter, thank you very much. I may not have seen this for months.
Happy to help with the passing of the torch.
I did.
Good morning, viewers. Hello and welcome to the Morning News Show. Donald Trump is back in the White House and he's wasting no time. From bold policy shifts to global ripples, what's next for America? Let's break it down for all of you and let's cut across to the live visuals.
Born to die, but all
Well, Donald Trump has now been sworn in as the 47th President of the United States, and as the visuals present, you can see him dancing in the White House. After promising a golden age in his inaugural address, Trump ripped into Joe Biden's presidency, accusing it of failing to manage crisis and vowing immediate change.
United States Army, Staff Sergeant Lexus Martinez, United States Marine Corps, and Petty Officer Emmanuel Gamble, United States Navy.
Well, Donald Trump has also announced plans to halt the illegal entry, withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord, and replace tax burdens with tariffs on foreign nations. These are some of the visuals that we're tracking from White House. Remember, viewers, President Donald Trump has returned to the White House for the first time since he was inaugurated as the 47th president, signing a handful of executive orders, including pardons for the vast majority of the convicted rioters. Donald Trump has left no time in taking bold and certain policy-making decisions. Now, he's also said that he would make it US policy that there are only two genders, male and female. Remember, LGBTQ plus rights were a flashpoint in the 2024 presidential campaign as well. Well, these are the visuals that we are presenting to you, coming in live from the White House. As you can see, the United States President is all set to address the audience once again. Well, Washington is back in the spotlight as Donald Trump kicks off his second term as the 47th.
This is a great honor.
47th President of the United States. Let's hear it out.
We're very proud of Space Force. But there's nowhere else I'd rather be tonight than with some of the greatest American patriots of all, the men and women of the United States military. Thank you very much. This is quite a gathering, huh? It's a celebration because we're going to turn our country around. We're going to make America great again. I've had no higher privilege in life than to serve as your commander-in-chief, not once, but twice. And you're incredible, and the people of our country respect you, and they love you so much. You don't see it, you don't hear about it too much, but they love you just so much you wouldn't even believe it. So thank you very much. They're honored to have you. We're joined this evening by the service members from every branch of the U.S. Armed Forces, Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, Marines, and Space Force. And I salute you all. Let me also thank our incredible military spouses, what you have to put up with. They put up with a lot. And family members here tonight, we have so many and so many brilliant families. And you do more than anyone else to support our nation's heroes. And on behalf of every American, I want to thank you very much. We have some people with us tonight. You know, we have the head of the Republican Party, and we won. And then she said, all right, Dad, I think that's enough for me now. Let's win and let's go to something else. She wants to get back to her beautiful babies, but she's married to a guy known as my son, Eric Trump. And Laura was essentially chairman, along with Michael Whatley of the Republican Party, and they were tough. They weren't going to stand for any nonsense, and they did a fantastic job, and we won every single swing state. We won we won the popularity. We were the most popular candidate in a long time. And I have to tell you, with the military, we really won. I want to thank, obviously, a tremendous supporter of yours, and if I ever got out of line, she'd get me right back in line when it comes to you. Melania, First Lady, she's been fantastic, First Lady. And our Vice President, you know him well. He's all about you. He's a big believer in our military, J.D. Vance and Usha. And I have other family members here. Don's in there somewhere, and Ivanka's there. Where is Ivanka? There's so many people. But we have a lot of family members. Tiffany is here. Barron was with us today. He's that tall one, I will tell you. And he's doing a good job. But today we celebrate the enduring strength and resilience of our glorious republic. And so it's highly appropriate that we also honor the men and women who keep us safe. And that's what you are. Your bravery inspires us, your service unites us, and your sacrifice and spirit protect us all. We made a little speech today. I think you probably saw it. Who did see it or hear it? Did anybody? Well, I think we said a lot, and we said more than anything else that we love you, we respect you so much, and we have a big commitment to each and every one of you. Starting today, America will be stronger and greater than it's ever been before. That's happening fast. That was a big win. That was a tremendous win. We all worked hard for it. And a big part of the reason that I won was because of my relationship with you. So we appreciate it. Under the leadership of our next Secretary of Defense, who I just saw, Pete Hegseth, who's fantastic. Where is Pete? I saw him backstage. I don't know. There's so many people. How do you find anybody in this crowd? This is a big crowd. But if Pete's around, if Pete can hear this, come on up here, Pete. But we will again build the most powerful military the world has ever seen. We're going to have it. You know, we did that 4 years ago, and then it was a little bit dissipated. But we're going to do it again, but much bigger, much stronger than ever before. We're also doing the Iron Dome, all made in America. We're going to have a nice Iron Dome. You're going to protect us with the use of the Iron Dome. Instead of worrying about political agendas, you don't have to worry about that at all. There's only one focus: defeating America's enemies. We're not going to be defeated. We're not going to be humiliated. We're only going to win, win, win. We're going to win, win, win. And we really do have some just incredible people working with us. So I've been looking around for generals like George Patton, Douglas MacArthur, Ulysses S. Grant. His stock has gone way up in the last 20 years, wouldn't you say, JD? They used to say bad things about him. Now all of a sudden he's very well respected, but we all fight to win, and we're going to win, and we're going to win like never before. In many ways, the economy is going to be strong. We're not going to let all of our nations, our friendly and unfriendly nations, push us around from any standpoint, including the economy, because we have something that they don't have. We have a power that they don't have. Liquid gold under our feet, the likes of which no other nation has. Yet, as I said in my inaugural address, we will measure our success not only by the battles we win, but also by the wars we end, and perhaps most importantly, the wars we never get into. It's called peace through strength. We won't have to fight the wars, right? We don't have to fight the wars. If we can do it without fighting. As long as we have total victory, we do it without fighting. Through our power and might, we will lead the world to peace. Our friends will respect us. Our enemies will fear us. And the whole world will admire the unrivaled greatness of the United States military. And I will tell you, we made big strides. We totally rebuilt the United States military 2017, 2019, 2018. We rebuilt the entire U.S. military, and now we're going to do it again. A lot of it's been dissipated by people that don't know what the hell they're doing. But we're going to do it again. And this is going to be the dawn of the golden age of America. This is the golden age of America. And tonight, I'm filled with optimism for what lies ahead over the next 4 years. We will replenish the pride of our armed forces, end the recruitment crisis. And by the way, the recruitment numbers are through the roof in the last 2 months. I wonder why. Why? I don't know. Why the hell are they through? You know, you're having a little problem with recruitment. That's not good. And now the numbers are higher than they've just about ever. You know why? They love what they see for the future of our country. And they didn't love what they were seeing for the last 4 years. It was ridiculous. It's a big thing, actually. This big story is the recruiting has gone really through the roof, and that's good. I want to thank every service member here tonight and across the globe to know that you're at the heart of America's greatness. It's an exceptional honor to join you again in serving this magnificent nation that we all love and that we're going to make greater, better, bigger, stronger. We're going to make it something that even you will be surprised. You'll see that, and it's going to be led by our great military, the strength of our military. We're going to make our military so strong that we don't have to use it. Wouldn't that be good? We don't have to use it. They'll look at us and they'll say, there's no way we're going after that one. So I want to just say to you, God bless you. God bless our armed forces. God bless our men and women serving overseas. And God bless the United States of America. Thank you. Thank you very much. So they say we have some troops from South Korea, and I have no idea how we're getting them on this screen. I've been waiting for it for about 2 seconds. Oh, here it comes. No, that's a cake. There they are. Hello, everybody. How are we doing over there? How's Kim Jong-un doing? How are you?
President, how do you hear me?
That's a good-looking group of people, isn't it? Thank you for being with
sir,
us.
how do you hear us?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Sir, I'm Lieutenant General Chris O'Neill, Commanding General 8th Army, and this is Command Sergeant Major Robin Ballmer. We're based at Camp Humphrey, South Korea, United States bedrock of unmistakable land power on freedom's frontier in Asia. Protection of both homelands, sir. It's a profound honor to stand before you today, representing our incredible team here in Korea. We're deeply grateful for this opportunity to be part of this occasion. Sir, on behalf of the brave men and women who serve under my command, the thousands of dedicated service members that are part of the joint team in Korea, congratulations on your victory as the 47th President of the United States. Welcome back, Mr. President. Sir, we'd be privileged to host you here in Korea soon. You can see firsthand the lethality of our soldiers here, how our formations are, our fight tonight focus, and our ironclad commitment to the defense of Korea and our homelands. To meet the families who serve alongside our warfighters, sir. Pacific victory, sir.
How about that? So, could I ask you, how is it going in South Korea right now? How's it doing? You have somebody with pretty bad intentions, I guess. You would say that, although I developed a pretty good relationship with him, but he's a tough cookie. How is it going over there? How is it doing?
Sir, every day we train, we stay hard, and we plan for anything that you possibly could need us to do. The alliance is strong, and we're ready to receive you, Mr. President.
Well, thank you very much. This is really, is this man central casting or what? If I'm doing a movie, I pick him to play my lead. I want to thank you all very much. What a good-looking group of people, and we are very secure when we have people like you in our military, and we're having a beautiful time in Washington. We just had that great election that you alluded to. It was a big one. It was a very big win. We won everything. We won just about everything. The only thing that matters, though, is we won with the military, the likes of which nobody's seen before. So that's really good. But I would like to just thank you all, and I'll see you soon. If anybody would like to make a statement, please do so. If you'd like to say something, you have a big group of people. We have all night, right? We have all night. If anybody would like to make a statement, go ahead.
Sir.
That is great. You see that? They're not going to play games with you. That's good. I like to see that. Nobody's playing games with that man. Have a good time, everybody. Say hello to everybody over there. I have a lot of friends in South Korea. And great job. You look really sharp, really special, and you are a special guy. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's great, isn't it? That's great, but you're great. Thank you all very much. Have a great time. Commander-in-Chief, this is the ball. This is the big one. This is the first one I stopped at. I hope the other ones don't hear me say that. But this is the one. And now we're going to cut a cake. And they said, could you be very, very careful, sir? Don't cut the plane, which is cake. Cut the runway. I think that's a good idea. Thank you very much. We love you all. Thank you very much.
Presenting the sabers to the President and Vice President, Captain Abigail Barge, United States Air Force, Petty Officer, 2nd Class Robert George, United States Coast Guard.
All right, we just heard President Donald Trump recently addressing a large crowd, also praising the First Lady Melania Trump for her commitment. The First Lady was also seen dancing poolside, showcasing her elegance and poise. The crowd cheered as Melania Trump grooved to the music, exuding confidence and charm. Donald Trump also interacted with the good-looking troops of South Korea. He's also given his first set of remarks, focusing on the military, emphasizing its strength and superiority. He's also declared that the US will not be defeated and will emerge victorious, repeating his signature phrase, "We will win, win and win." Now, joining us on the broadcast is our colleague Siddhant Mishra for a better perspective into the entire statement. A very good morning, Siddhant. Siddhant, with Trump back in the driver's seat, his presidency is all set to reignite polarizing debates across the globe. Now, his bold approach signals a no-holds-barred strategy to reshape America's position on the key issues, except fireworks ahead. What's next? What can we expect?
Well, look, Kuhina, the kind of mandate President Trump has received perhaps compels him to keep on giving message to his supporters, to his fans in United States. And perhaps from last 12 hours since he has taken oath as the 47th president of United States, we have been seeing him making statements on those lines, signing executive orders on those lines. Just a short while back, Kuhina, we heard him, asking to the South Korean troops that how is Kim Jong-un doing? So, that is Donald Trump, and that is his personality, which his supporters, his fans like. And that is something which they like about him. This alpha male personality of Donald Trump, somebody who is going to reshape the entire geopolitics, somebody who is going to make America great again. Perhaps that's the promise he made to his people. And this is the reason that we just see in last 12 hours, the kind of executive orders he signed, the kind of statements he has made. From his first address in the Capitol Hill, to his last address just a short while back. It's all about making Americans believe that it's the commencement of the golden age for America. Trump is going to make America rich again, make America great again. Perhaps that is how he is projecting himself, has been projecting himself in last 12 hours. Now, talking about his executive orders, Kohina, he has signed many executive orders in last few hours. In fact, signing out of the Paris Accord, which perhaps was his election promise, because Trump's want more offshore drilling in United States.
Right, talking about the Paris Agreement, Trump's biggest international grievance wasn't really focusing on the Middle East or the Ukraine-Russia conflict, right, Siddhant? It was largely the Panama Canal, which is also dominating the headlines now. Now, how will Trump's stance on Panama Canal actually impact the US-Latin American relations? And what geopolitical ripples could erupt moving forward after the renaming?
That is something which America has spoken about, or perhaps any American president has talked about for the first time. It also talks about the change in policy, change in American policy, because America has never projected itself as a country which believes in expansionist approach. But in the run up to the elections, and in fact after getting elected as a president-elect, Donald Trump has dropped two bombs which perhaps has not gone down well with the other countries. One is that America will control Greenland, and second will buy Greenland, and second is the Panama Canal. Now, Trump has to say that Panama Canal was developed by Americans. It was later handed over to the government of Panama, but government of Panama has allowed China to perhaps build bases there, and now the American ships have to pay extra money to use that canal. Perhaps that's the pitch that Trump had come up with after getting elected to office. In fact, yesterday again he said that America is going to take back the Panama Canal, and there's an objection also which had come from the government of Panama over this statement of Donald Trump. It would really be interesting to see that how right now Trump is announcing, Trump is making statements, or he may be signing executive orders, but how this is going to practically be implemented is something which would really be interesting to see. Also, Kohina, remember one thing very interesting about Trump's personality. He loves to escalate to de-escalate. He's kind of a person who loves talking about things more and more and more, so that it builds pressure on the other party, and then he believes in bringing the other party onto the table, and that is how Trump believes in working. In fact, that is how he projects himself as a alpha male deal breaker. So let's see how events take shape when it comes to Panama Canal, when it comes to buying Greenland. Making statements, signing executive orders is a different thing, but how he is going to implement it, how he's going to negotiate it is something which would really be interesting to see.
Right, Siddhant, I'd request you to stay with us on the broadcast as we'll come back and discuss more on the Paris Accord exit as well. But Washington has already witnessed a familiar yet fiery start as Donald Trump assumed office for his second term. Let's hear out more from CNN's report.
President Donald Trump taking the oath of office Monday.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
He's the second president in U.S. history to serve a second term non-consecutively.
I return to the presidency confident and optimistic that we are at the start of a thrilling new era of national success.
Monday's events were held inside the Capitol due to extremely cold weather. Supporters, cabinet members, and political leaders, including the 4 other living presidents, packed inside the rotunda to watch Trump become the 47th president of the United States.
Our power will stop all wars and bring a new spirit of unity to a world that has been angry, violent, and totally unpredictable.
The day full of celebratory events across D.C., including a first honors ceremony to celebrate all branches of the U.S. military. In his speech, Trump laid out an ambitious agenda to tackle what he calls an immigration crisis, including declaring a national emergency at the southern border.
All illegal entry will immediately be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came.
Trump later holding an inauguration parade at Capital One Arena for his supporters, where he signed a slew of executive orders, including withdrawing the U.S. from the Paris Climate Agreement. The newly sworn-in president is expected to sign more executive orders in the coming days.
Well, Siddhant continues to stay with us on the broadcast. Siddhant, with a number of first few executive orders being signed out, a crucial question largely looms for India and US relations. How will Trump 2.0 actually impact India's trade surplus with the United States, particularly in sectors like iron and steel, which have seen significant growth despite past tariffs as well?
That's right, Kuhina. There is indeed a concern with the Indian side when it comes to imposing tariff. In fact, Trump has said in one of his speeches that he's going to impose 100% tariff on BRICS bloc. Now, BRICS bloc means that India is also included in that bloc, and he also said that along with BRICS bloc, it would be Spain also. So he has threatened to impose 100% tariff. Now, in the run-up to the elections also, Kuhina, Trump has threatened that if BRICS bloc will come up with an alternative currency to counter dollar, then there would be extra tariff which will be imposed by America on the BRICS nation. That was his announcement during the elections. Now, after taking over the office, he has again threatened for the 100% tariff on the BRICS nation, including Spain. Or perhaps Trump believes that Spain is a part of a BRIC bloc. Now, Indian side is indeed concerned, but this is not for the first time that Indian side is going to handle this situation. Remember, in 2017 also, there were a lot of confusion when Trump was taking over the presidency for the first time. At that point in time also, Indian side handled it very well. In fact, I would also like to take you back to the Barack Obama's time when, Obama was taking over the presidency. In fact, in the run-up to the elections, he had said that he is ready to mediate between India and Pakistan. So whenever there is a transition in United States, there is indeed a concern with the Indian side, Indian government, to handle the new administration, to engage with new administration. But Indian side is perhaps has good relations with both Democrats and Republicans. In fact, you see, Kuhina, what is working for India is that 16 of the people in Trump's team are the Indian Americans. In fact, 2 to 3 of them are the China hawks. If we talk about Marco Rubio, Mike Waltz, perhaps they are the China hawk and pro-India voices, or have been the pro-India voices on the Capitol Hill. In fact, these few people really want India-US relations to grow. And most important point, Kuhina, the reflection of the deepening US-India ties in Trump's relation was seen yesterday when Foreign Minister Jaishankar's sitting was upgraded, breaking all protocols. He was made to sit in the first row, whereas his Japanese counterpart and Australian counterpart were made to sit in the second and the third row. So Mr. Jaishankar was made to sit with the presidents and the prime minister who attended Trump's swearing in on the Capitol Hill, perhaps breaking all protocol that was done. So it talks about deepening India-US ties in Trump's administration. Also, most important one, today is going to be the first Quad meeting at the foreign ministers level. Marco Rubio has already been appointed as the Secretary of State. Senate has cleared his appointment. His first foreign engagement, after taking office is going to be the Quad meeting. Perhaps again talks about the importance of India, importance of Indo-Pacific, and importance of India-US relationship. So, given so much is in favor of India, perhaps it looks like that right now Trump is threatening, but India will surely India will tackle this situation, and you know there are a lot of reasons which are working in India's favor.
Right, Siddhant, like you've rightly put it across, Trump's first day at work has largely left the diplomatic ties on the edge once again. Now, with Trump back in the driver's seat, his presidency is set to reignite polarizing debates across the globe. His bold approach signals a no-holds-barred strategy to reshape America's position on key issues, except fireworks ahead. Will Trump's aggressive stance on certain set of policies reflect badly with the world or not? Time shall tell, but now we are slipping into a very short break. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more on the other side of this segment.
Donald Trump, the US president who was sworn in as the 47th president of the United States for the second time, he is now signing the executive orders in the Oval Office after taking oath. These are the live visuals coming in from the Oval Office, United States, viewers. Trump started his inaugural address with saying that this is the golden age for United States. Golden age of America begins now. That's what he had to say. And these are the live visuals coming in. You can see on your screens where he's showing off the executive orders that he has just signed in the Oval Office. And he has also granted pardons for the January 6th defendants. Remember, Capitol riots took place on January 6th. And that was a dark era in the history of US. He announced a slew of measures that he will be taking with respect to immigration, and he has also said that he will impose a national emergency at the US-Mexico border and will send troops and more manpower along the border. That's what he had to say earlier. And he has also thanked his supporters after taking oath as the 47th president of the United States. He is the only second president to be able to return to power in the United States.
Well, we're going to see on Venezuela. We're looking at Venezuela very strongly. It's a country I know very well for a lot of reasons, and it's, boy, it was a great country 20 years ago, and now it's a mess, right?
Sir, can we expect ICE raids starting tomorrow in major cities?
What does that mean?
Can we expect ICE raids in major cities tomorrow?
I don't want to say when, but it's going to happen. Has to happen, or we're not going to have a country left.
This is actually an executive order designating the cartels and other organizations to be foreign terrorist organizations.
Hello and welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. Well, now we're focusing on some domestic news, and this breaking input is coming in from the National Capital Region, where ahead of the Delhi elections, Arvind Kejriwal has now stoked yet another controversy while addressing a public gathering. Kejriwal said that Ravan came as a golden deer. Now, the BJP has hit back at Kejriwal and demanded his apology. Now, as the heat builds up ahead of the Delhi elections, Arvind Kejriwal has sparked a fresh controversy. But was this really a slip of tongue or a calculated move to grab more attention? We'll find out. But let's take a look at some of the reactions and what really Arvind Kejriwal had to say.
एक दिन रामचंद्र जी खाने का इंतजाम करने जंगल में गए। माता सीता को अपनी झोपड़ी में छोड़ गए और लक्ष्मण को बोले कि तू सीता मैया की रक्षा करेगा। इतने में रावण आया सोने का हिरण बनके। आया कि नहीं आया? सोने का हिरण बनके आया। सीता मैया लक्ष्मण को बोली मेरे को ये हिरण चाहिए। लक्ष्मण बोला ना मैया, भगवान राम कह के गए हैं कि मेरे को आपकी रक्षा करनी है। उसने बोली नहीं, मैं तेरे को आदेश देती हूं, जाओ और हिरण को पकड़ के लाओ। लक्ष्मण के पास चारा नहीं था, लक्ष्मण चला गया और वो रावण अपना वेश चेंज करके और सीता मैया का हरण करके ले गया।
सर, यहाँ सुबह सुबह आप आए हैं।
कल जिस तरह से श्री रामायण चरितमानस का
अपमान किया गया है, जिस तरह से उसकी गलत व्याख्या की गई और हमारे सनातन हमारे धर्म को गाली देने का काम अरविंद केजरीवाल ने किया है, वो तो अधर्मी है। उनकी नानी उन्हें क्या सुनाती थी मुझे नहीं पता, लेकिन रावण अगर हिरण का रूप बनकर, और वो भी सोने का हिरण, और झूठ ऐसा बोलते हैं कि पब्लिक से भी बुलवा रहे हैं, बोलो आया था ना, तो अगर वो अभी तक शीश महल के सोने से बाहर नहीं आ रहे हैं, जो गोल्ड उनको प्यारा है, तो प्रभु श्री राम ही इनका कल्याण करेंगे, क्योंकि जिस तरह का उन्होंने अधर्म किया है, हमने तो आज प्रभु राम से आके, हनुमान जी से आके हाथ जोड़ के माफ़ी मांगी है, और आज पूरा दिन हम उपवास करेंगे।
आप किस तरीके से इसे देखते हैं, क्योंकि इससे पहले भी जब राम मंदिर की बात हो रही थी तब उन्होंने उस पर अपना एतराज जताते हुए अपनी नानी की बात कही थी कि वो नहीं चाहती हैं, और वो कहते हैं कट्टर हनुमान भक्त हैं।
चुनावी हिंदू हैं अरविंद केजरीवाल, इनकी नानी इनको बताती जी, जैसा ये खुद क्लेम करते हैं कि राम मंदिर नहीं बनना चाहिए, लेकिन आज जब चुनाव सर पर है तो उनको राम भी याद आ रहे हैं और पुजारी भी याद आ रहे हैं, ग्रंथी भी याद आ रहे हैं। तो ये लोग जिस धर्म विशेष की राजनीति करते हैं वो सबको पता है, लेकिन जिस तरह से उन्होंने रामायण चरित्र की गलत व्याख्या की है, प्रभु इनको क्षमा नहीं करेंगे।
प्रभु श्री राम कर देते हैं सबका काम। ये कपटीवाल को अब रामायण भी भूल गई, ये रामायण की ही उल्टी गंगा बहाने लगे ये। और ऐसा व्यक्ति, पढ़ा लिखा व्यक्ति, IITN, बहुत पढ़े लिखे हैं, अरे इनसे ज़्यादा एक तो बेपढ़ा लिखा गांव का आदमी अगर होगा ना, जिसने कभी पढ़ाई नहीं की हो, वो भी रामायण इनसे ज़्यादा जानता होगा। तभी इनकी दादी कहती थी कि ऐसे राम मंदिर में मुझे नहीं जाना जो मस्जिद तोड़ के बनाई गई हो। ये सब भी हिंदू धर्म के जयचंद हैं। इन्हीं के कारण हिंदुओं की ये दुर्गति होती गई इस देश में। समय आ गया इनका बोरिया बिस्तर बांध के इनको भगा देने का।
Well, joining us on the broadcast is our colleague Akash. A very good morning, Akash. Akash, as the political slugfest is now intensifying, the focus is now shifting from the core issues to rhetorical battles. But is Kejriwal's misstatement of facts a deliberate attempt to mislead the public or a genuine mistake?
Well, only Kejriwal can answer it, Kutina. But this is for the perspective that what Kejriwal mentioned is, some wrong information as per mythological history.
Yes.
And you see what Kejriwal said. Kejriwal, talked about the incident from Ramayana, where he was talking about, Ram, in fact, Lakshman going after the golden deer, and that too, he said that it was Ravana, who converted and transformed himself into a golden deer, and then, Sita sent him after the golden deer. But actually, in actuality, and as per mythological facts, it was Marich, another demon, who transformed into the golden deer, and Lord Ram went after the golden deer.
Indeed.
So BJP is saying that it is an insult to all those Hindus who believe in Ramayana and the mythological stories, these stories. And in fact, this is the reason why we saw Veeresh Sachdeva, who is the Delhi BJP chief, today went to Hanuman temple in Connaught Place and said that, it is one big mistake that Kejriwal has committed, and he has insulted all the Hindus because this was an offensive depiction of Ramayanji's Katha by Arvind Kejriwal. Now, whether or not it was a deliberate attempt or not, it is Kejriwal and Aam Aadmi Party who will answer that. But yes, BJP and all other opposition parties are attacking Kejriwal by saying that he has insulted Hindus and he don't know the mythological history and facts about it.
Right, Akash, thank you so much for bringing in all those details. Well, is Kejriwal's remark a strategic distraction to steer the narrative away from the governance issues or not? Well, time shall tell. But the BJP is all set to release the second part of its manifesto today. Now, former Union Minister Anurag Thakur will unveil the manifesto at around 11 a.m. BJP's first manifesto saw bold promises like 2,500 rupees per month for women, 21,000 rupees for pregnant women, a free LPG cylinder on Holi and Diwali, 5 lakh health cover, and 500 rupees cylinder subsidy. Now, these promises earned BJP significant traction, but will Sankalp Patra 2 take things a step further away? Top sources have also suggested more freebies that will target students, adding fuel to the already heated